Have you ever stood in the midst of your own life, surrounded by the echoes of your choices, and felt like a stranger? Have you ever looked at the mountains you had to climb, the rivers of grief you had to cross, and whispered to the silence, "Why? Why me? Why this path, so full of sharp stones and shadowed valleys?" You have followed the rules, you have played the game, yet a deep, persistent ache remains. A feeling that you are homesick for a place you have never been. This feeling is not a flaw in your design. It is not a sign that you are broken. It is the most honest part of you, speaking up. It is the echo of a forgotten promise. What if your life, in all its chaotic beauty and bewildering pain, was not a random series of events? What if it was not an accident or a punishment, but a curriculum, a masterpiece of spiritual architecture, designed with infinite love and wisdom by the only one who knows exactly what you need to grow? What if it was designed by your own soul? Before you took your first breath, before your heart beat its first rhythm, your higher self, the eternal part of you, surveyed the infinite possibilities of existence and chose this specific life. It chose your parents, it chose your challenges, it chose the exact circumstances that would forge you, temper you, and awaken you. It chose this path for a reason. This is not a journey to learn something new. It is a journey to remember something ancient. We will not be adding more information to the noisy attic of your mind. Instead, we will be creating a space of profound stillness, a sanctuary where you can finally begin to hear the whispers of your own inner knowing. We will walk back through the corridors of your experience, not to dwell in the pain, but to find the golden threads of purpose woven into every moment. This is an invitation to stop fighting against the current of your life and to instead turn around and see the incredible intelligence that is carrying you. It is time to decode the sacred text of your own existence. It is time to understand why your soul, in its infinite wisdom, chose this path for you. Breathe in, and let us begin. Look back for a moment at the landscape of your own past. See the terrain you have traversed. See the steep cliffs of loss, the deserts of loneliness, the battlefields of failure where you fought and fell and fought again. You carry the memory of this landscape in your body, in the tightness of your shoulders, in the quiet sigh that escapes you when you think no one is listening. There is a weariness there, a feeling of being worn down by the sheer, relentless pressure of it all. You may have looked at the fragments of your life, the shattered dreams, the unexpected detours, the painful goodbyes, and concluded that something went wrong, that this was not the plan, that your life is a testament to chaos, a story of things breaking. But this conclusion, born of pain and exhaustion, misses the fundamental truth. It mistakes the sound of the chisel for an act of destruction when it has always been an act of creation. You are not standing in the rubble of a collapsed building. You are standing in a sculptor's studio, and the masterpiece being carved is you. This is the divine architecture of your beautiful struggle. Before this lifetime, your soul, your eternal self, did not look for the easiest path. An easy path creates nothing. It is a smooth, unworked stone, holding no story, no strength, no character. Your soul, in its infinite ambition for growth, chose a block of the finest marble, a substance filled with raw, unexpressed potential. And it held a vision, a perfect, crystalline image of the magnificent being dormant within that stone. This vision is your highest self, the fully realized you, radiant with wisdom, courage, and unconditional love. The soul, as the master sculptor, knew that to bring this vision into reality, everything that was not the masterpiece had to be removed. And so, the work began. The hammer and chisel of life were picked up. That job you lost, the one that stripped you of your identity and security, was not a punishment. It was a precise strike of the chisel, chipping away the false belief that your worth is defined by your title or your income. That devastating heartbreak that brought you to your knees was not a sign that you are unlovable. It was the sculptor's hammer, shattering a shell you had built around your heart, a shell that kept love out just as much as it kept fear in. The periods of profound loneliness were not an abandonment. They were the sculptor stepping back, creating silence and space so you could learn to feel the contours of your own soul without the distraction of others. Every anxiety, every failure, every moment you felt you could not go on was a tap, a scrape, a polishing, designed to remove a layer of ego, a sliver of fear, a shard of a limiting belief. From the perspective of the marble, this process is terrifying. It is loud, it is violent, it feels like a constant state of being diminished, of having parts of yourself torn away. The marble only knows what it is losing. It cannot yet see the emerging shape of the angel's wing in its own shoulder. You have been living as the marble, feeling every blow as a personal attack from a cruel and random universe. The invitation now is to shift your consciousness from the marble to the sculptor, to rise above the noise and the dust, and for a moment, see with your soul's eyes. See the loving intention behind every challenge. See the focused gaze of the artist, who never strikes without purpose, who knows the final form is flawless, and who has absolute faith in the material's ability to withstand the process. Your struggles were chosen as your training ground. We build physical muscle by introducing resistance, by lifting weights that are heavy enough to create microscopic tears in the fibers, which then heal back stronger than before. Your soul chose a curriculum of spiritual resistance. Your challenges are the weights. They are meant to tear the fibers of your ego, your small, fearful self, so that the infinite strength of your true self can grow in its place. The person who betrayed you was a weight, teaching you the muscle of discernment and self-worth. The financial hardship was a weight, teaching you the muscle of resilience and trust in a flow beyond the material. The chronic illness or physical pain is a weight, teaching you the profound muscle of compassion for yourself and for others, and forcing you to find a source of peace that is not dependent on the body's comfort. Your soul did not choose these things to be cruel. It chose them because it honors you. It knows your strength. It would never assign you a weight you could not, eventually, learn to lift. To wish for a life without problems is to wish for a gym with no weights. It is to wish for a journey with no destination. The friction is the point. The heat and pressure are what turn carbon into a diamond. You are that carbon, and your life is the geological force, divinely calibrated to bring forth the indestructible, brilliant diamond that you are. Stop looking at the pressure as your enemy. See it as the force of your own becoming. See your resilience not as a mere survival skill, but as the evidence of your ongoing transformation. The architecture is perfect. The timing is divine. You may feel that you are behind, that you have made too many mistakes, that you have strayed too far from the path. But from the sculptor's perspective, no piece of marble that is removed is a mistake. It is a necessary part of the revelation. Your detours were part of the design, teaching you things you could not have learned on a straight road. Your perceived flaws are the very textures that will give your final form its unique beauty and depth. The Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold, is based on the philosophy that the piece is more beautiful for having been broken. Your life is a work of kintsugi. The golden lacquer is the wisdom you gained from every break. So, stand up and look again at the landscape of your life. See the path not as a random series of painful accidents, but as a deliberate and sacred training ground. Honor the weights you have lifted. Acknowledge the incredible strength you have built. You are not being broken. You are being born. You are not being punished. You are being sculpted. The beautiful struggle is the holiest work there is, and it is happening not to you but for you. To truly grasp the perfection of this design, however, you must learn to do what the sculptor does. You must learn to step back from the dust and the noise of the work itself. You must find the quiet space, the deep inner silence, where the artist's original, perfect vision is held. And so you stand within the sculptor's studio, the air thick with the dust of your own becoming. But there is a noise here, isn't there? A relentless, incessant sound that is louder than any hammer or chisel. It is the voice of the narrator in your head, the one who comments on everything, the one who judges the sculptor's work, criticizes the marble, fears the next blow, and endlessly replays the sound of every strike that has come before. This voice tells you that you are not strong enough. It reminds you of your past failures. It projects future catastrophes. It compares your block of marble to others, whispering that theirs is larger, their sculptor more skilled. For your entire life, you have assumed that this voice is you. You have believed that its anxieties are your identity, its judgments are your truth, and its fears are your reality. This is the greatest illusion you have ever accepted, and the beginning of all freedom is to see it for what it is. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. Let that sink into you for a moment. You are not the thoughts. You are the awareness in which the thoughts arise and disappear. Imagine you are the vast, infinite blue sky. Your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are the clouds. Some clouds are dark and heavy with rain, thundering with anger or grief. Others are light, white, and wispy, filled with fleeting moments of joy. For your entire life, you have been chasing the white clouds and running from the dark ones, believing that you are the weather of your own mind. When a storm of anxiety rolls in, you say, "I am anxious." When a cloud of sadness appears, you say, "I am sad." You have completely identified with the passing phenomena, but the sky does not become the storm. The sky is the changeless, silent space that holds the storm, allows it to be, and remains untouched when it passes. Your soul, your true self, is the sky. The practice of awakening is simply to remember this, to shift your identity from the fleeting cloud to the eternal sky. Think of your mind as the surface of a great lake. The world outside is a constant wind. An unkind word, a stressful deadline, a disturbing piece of news each is a gust that stirs the surface of the lake, creating ripples and waves of thought. Memories from the past are stones thrown in, creating more ripples that spread and intersect. When the surface is agitated, it can reflect nothing with clarity. It shows a distorted, fragmented, chaotic version of the world. This is the state of the unobserved mind, a constant reactivity to external and internal winds. In this state, you cannot find truth. You cannot find peace, because you are lost in the turbulence of the surface. You spend all your energy trying to calm the waves, fighting the wind, which only creates more disturbance. The great masters and mystics understood a different way. The way is not to fight the wind, but to dive beneath the waves. The way is to let the water settle on its own. The voice of your soul is not in the turbulent spray of the surface. It resides in the deep, silent, crystal-clear stillness of the lake's depths. When you learn to become still, when you withdraw your attention from the winds of the world and the chatter of the mind, the surface of the lake naturally begins to calm. As the ripples subside, the water becomes like glass. And in this profound stillness, two miracles occur. First, the surface now perfectly reflects the truth of what is, without distortion. You see reality as it is, not as your anxious mind interprets it. Second, you can see all the way to the bottom. You can see the treasures of wisdom, the pearls of insight, and the profound peace that were always there, just waiting beneath the turmoil. This clarity, this deep sense of knowing that arises from stillness, this is the voice of your soul. It does not speak in words. It speaks in peace. It speaks in a feeling of rightness. It speaks in the silent language of being. You can touch this silence right now. You do not need a special cushion or a remote monastery. The gateway is always with you. Wherever you are, simply close your eyes for a moment. Bring your attention to the feeling of your own breath. Do not try to control it or change it. Just feel the gentle rising of your chest and the soft falling away. The breath is your anchor to the present moment, the only place where life ever truly exists. As you rest your attention there, You will notice thoughts still try to pull you away. The narrator will start its commentary. Am I doing this right? This is boring. I have so much to do. Do not fight these thoughts. See them as clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Simply acknowledge them and gently, without judgment, guide your attention back to the anchor of your breath. Now, expand your awareness. Listen to the sounds around you. The hum of a machine, the distant traffic, the creak of the floor. Hear them as pure vibration, without attaching the mental labels. Just listen. Feel the sensation of the air on your skin. Feel the points of contact between your body and the chair or the floor. You are pulling your energy out of the abstract world of thought and grounding it in the simple, undeniable reality of the present moment. In doing this, you may begin to notice something remarkable. You may notice the small pockets of silence, the gaps between your thoughts. At first, they may be fleeting, just a microsecond of quiet. But in that gap, there is no problem. In that gap, there is no past to regret and no future to fear. There is only peace. There is only being. That gap is the doorway. That silence is your home. This is a practice, a retraining of a lifelong habit of mental noise. The mind will continue to generate thoughts, just as the heart continues to beat. The goal is not to stop the thoughts. The goal is to stop believing that you are them. Every time you notice you are lost in thought and you gently come back to your breath, back to the present moment, you are strengthening your connection to the sky, to the deep stillness of the lake. You are reclaiming your true identity as the silent, aware presence behind the noise. This silence is not empty. It is unimaginably alive and intelligent. It is the source from which all true creativity, intuition, and peace flow. As you learn to rest in this silence more and more, you begin to perceive other layers of intelligence that were previously drowned out by the mind's chatter. The most immediate and powerful of these is the quiet, undeniable wisdom of your own feelings. There is a particular kind of restlessness known only to the soul that is beginning to stir. It is a feeling that defies logic. You may have a life that, from the outside, looks complete. You may have achieved the goals you once set for yourself. You have built a shelter of safety and routine. You have people who love you. You have ticked the boxes. Yet, in the quiet moments, when the distractions of the day fade, a profound sense of wrongness creeps in. It is a subtle but persistent ache, a feeling that you are a stranger in your own story. You look at the life you have carefully constructed, and you feel like a ghost haunting its hallways. You ask yourself, shouldn't I be happy? Why do I feel so empty when I have so much? What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Everything is beginning to go right. That feeling of discontent, that hollow ache for something more, is not a psychological flaw or a sign of an ungrateful heart. It is the most sacred signal your soul can send you. It is an echo from a promise made in a place beyond time and memory. Before you were woven into the fabric of this life, your soul, in its pure, luminous state, made a pact with itself. It did not promise to be comfortable. It did not promise to be endlessly happy in the way the human mind conceives of happiness. It promised to grow. It promised to experience. It promised to descend into the density and forgetting of the human experience for one single glorious purpose, to remember its own light, not as a concept, but as a lived reality. The restlessness you feel now is that promise beginning to activate. It is a divine alarm clock, set by your own higher self before you were born, and it is ringing now to wake you from a long slumber. For years, perhaps decades, you have been dreaming the dream of the ego, the dream of accumulation, of striving, of becoming somebody in the world, and you have done it. But the soul is not interested in the ego's trophies. That feeling of emptiness is the soul's way of lovingly whispering, "This dream is finished now. The game you were playing is over. There is a grander adventure waiting, a deeper reality to explore." The discomfort is a grace. It is the first tremor of a vast, inner continent beginning to shift. Imagine that your soul is an acorn. Within that small, humble seed, there exists the perfect, complete blueprint for a magnificent oak tree. The acorn does not need to be taught how to become an oak tree. It does not need to read books on arboriculture or attend seminars on root development. All of the wisdom, all of the potential is already encoded within it. Its entire destiny is to unfold from the inside out. For a time, the acorn can lie dormant on the forest floor, content in its hard shell. This shell is the ego, the personality structure you built to navigate the world. It was necessary. It kept you safe. It gave you a form. This is the period of our lives where we are focused on external survival and identity. But then, an inner imperative, a life force, begins to stir. The potential of the oak tree starts to push against the confines of the acorn's shell. From the acorn's perspective, this is a terrifying process. Its world is cracking. Its integrity is being compromised. The very thing that defined it and kept it safe is now becoming a prison. The pressure is immense. It feels like an annihilation. This feeling of cracking, this internal pressure, is what you are experiencing right now. The life that once felt safe and comfortable now feels like a constricting shell. The job, the relationships, the routines that once defined you now feel limiting. This is not a sign that your life is a failure. It is the triumphant sign that the mighty oak tree within you is finally beginning to grow. Your soul is demanding more room to live. This sacred discontent is not a problem to be solved by the mind. You cannot think your way out of it. You cannot acquire a new possession, a new relationship, or a new accomplishment that will soothe it for long, because it is not a hunger for something outside of you. It is a hunger for yourself. It is the call to return home. Every time you have felt that pang of, "Is this all there is?" that was the echo of the promise. Every time you have looked up at the night sky and felt an inexplicable longing, that was the echo. Every time a piece of music or a work of art has moved you to tears for no reason, you were hearing a note from your soul's original song. Do not be afraid of this emptiness. Turn towards it. It is not a void, it is a womb. It is the fertile darkness from which your true self is waiting to be born. Stop pathologizing your longing. Stop labeling your discontent as depression or anxiety. While those things can be real, look deeper, beneath the clinical labels, to the spiritual root. It is a holy homesickness. The great mystic Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Your feeling of being flawed, of being not enough, is the very opening your soul has created to pour its light into your conscious awareness. You are not broken. You are breaking open. And there is a world of difference between the two. One is an ending. The other is the beginning of everything. Honor this feeling. Thank it. It is your most loyal guide. It is the compass of your soul, telling you that you are ready for the next stage of the journey. The first stage was building a boat and learning to sail on the surface of the ocean. The next stage is learning to dive into its depths. The echo of the promise is the call to dive. It is the signal that you have learned all you can from the surface, and the real treasures are waiting in the deep. When you finally stop running from this sacred ache and turn to face it with courage and curiosity, you can begin to look at the very fabric of your life, not as a series of random, painful events, but as the deliberate, loving, and perfect architecture of your beautiful struggle. As you learn to sit in the quiet space behind your thoughts, a different kind of intelligence begins to emerge from the background. It is a form of knowing that is felt, not thought. It speaks not in words, but in the language of energy and sensation. It is the wisdom of your feelings. For most of your life, you have been trained to treat your emotions as a problem to be solved. You were taught that anger is dangerous, that sadness is a weakness, that fear is something to be overcome or ashamed of. We live in a world that medicates grief, distracts from anxiety, and demands relentless positivity. We have declared war on our own emotional landscape, treating half of our inner experience as an enemy to be conquered. We try to cage our sorrow and banish our rage, hoping that by locking them away we can finally be free. But you cannot imprison a part of yourself without imprisoning the whole. The cage you build for your pain also becomes a cage for your joy. What if this entire war is based on a profound misunderstanding? What if your feelings, all of them, are not your foes, but your most faithful allies? What if they are not a cage, but a compass? Imagine you are the captain of a great ship, sailing a vast and unknown ocean. Your mind is the map, filled with charts of where you have been and theories about where you are going. But the compass is your feelings. It is the living, breathing, real-time indicator of your relationship to the world right now. A map is useful, but it cannot tell you about the storm that is brewing just over the horizon or the hidden current pulling you off course. Only the compass, the immediate felt sense of reality, can do that. We have been taught to navigate our lives by staring at the old map of our thoughts, while completely ignoring the vital, quivering needle of our inner compass. Look at the emotions you have labeled as negative. Let us rename them. They are not negative, they are messengers. Sadness is the messenger who arrives to tell you that something you value has been lost, or that a deep need is going unmet. Its message is not collapse and despair. Its message is, this mattered. Acknowledge this loss. Allow yourself to grieve, for this is how you heal and integrate the experience. This is how you honor what was. Anger is the messenger who rushes in when a boundary has been violated, either your own or another's. Tudo. It is a surge of pure energy, meant to protect what is sacred. Its message is not, destroy and attack. Its message is, a line has been crossed. Your integrity is at stake. Pay attention. Action is required to restore balance and justice. Fear is the vigilant scout who points to a potential future threat. Its message is not, you are weak and powerless. Its message is, be aware. Something important is at risk. Gather your resources, heighten your senses, and prepare yourself. To suppress these messengers is like shooting the scout for spotting an enemy. It is an act of profound self-sabotage. Your soul did not give you this intricate guidance system for you to spend your life fighting against it. So why do these feelings feel like a cage? Why does a wave of anxiety or a pit of sorrow feel so overwhelming and permanent? The feeling itself is not the cage. The raw emotion is just a wave of pure energy moving through your body. Scientists have estimated that the purely physiological lifespan of an emotion, the time it takes for the chemical rush to move through you, is about 90 seconds. Just 90 seconds. The suffering that lasts for hours, days, or years is not caused by the raw feeling. It is caused by our resistance to the feeling. It is caused by the story we tell ourselves about the feeling. The raw energy of sadness arises, and immediately the mind jumps in. I can't feel this now. I have to be strong. This is going to destroy me. Why does this always happen to me? This mental commentary, this desperate pushing away, is what traps the energy. You build the bars of the cage with your own resistance. You are not trapped by the sadness. You are trapped by your fear of the sadness. The path to freedom is not to escape the feeling, but to change your relationship to it. It is to learn how to honor the messenger. The next time a strong emotion arises, try a new approach. Instead of immediately reacting, suppressing, or distracting, simply pause, take a breath. Acknowledge its presence, as if you were greeting a visitor at your door. Ah, hello, anger. I see you are here. This simple act of naming it creates a space of awareness between you and the feeling. You are no longer consumed by it. You are observing it. Then, ask yourself, where does this visitor live in my body? Move your attention out of the story in your head and into the raw sensations in your body. Is it a tightness in your jaw? A burning heat in your chest? A hollow ache in your stomach? Stay with the physical sensation. This grounds the experience and strips it of the mind's fearful narrative. Now breathe into that sensation. Imagine your breath as a wave of warm, compassionate energy flowing into the tight or painful area. You are not trying to push the feeling away. You are giving it space. You are allowing it to be there. You are signaling to that part of yourself, you are allowed to be here. I am willing to listen. Finally, with genuine curiosity, ask the feeling, what is your message for me? What are you pointing to? Do not demand a clear verbal answer. Simply hold the question in your heart as you hold the feeling in your awareness. You are opening a dialogue with your own inner wisdom. The answer might come as a sudden insight, a new memory, or simply a gentle softening of the sensation as its message is received. The messenger, having been heard and honored, can now depart. The energy flows, the cage dissolves. This is the work of emotional alchemy. It is the process of turning the lead of raw, painful emotion into the gold of wisdom and self-knowledge. Your feelings are the compass needle your soul uses to guide you through the curriculum it designed for you. When you feel joy, excitement, and passion, the compass is telling you, yes, more of this. You are aligned with your path. When you feel boredom, frustration, or dread, the compass is telling you, attention needed. This situation, this job, this relationship is out of alignment with your soul's growth. A change is required. To live a life of wholeness is to learn to trust this compass implicitly. It is to navigate not just by the old faded map of the thinking mind, but by the living, vibrant, and unfailingly honest wisdom of your heart. As you learn to trust this inner guidance, you begin to notice that its needle doesn't just point to things within your own personal landscape. Sometimes, it quivers in response to a much larger magnetic field, a field that connects you to everything and everyone. It is here that you begin to confront the most profound illusion of the human experience, the illusion of separation. As you learn to trust the inner compass of your feelings, you begin to sense a larger reality. You notice that the sorrow you feel for a friend's loss is not just a sympathetic thought, but a shared vibration in a common field. You feel a pang of anger at an injustice happening thousands of miles away, and you realize this energy connects you to it. Your personal compass begins to quiver in response to a vast, invisible magnetism, a force that binds you to everything and everyone. It is here, at the edge of your personal experience, that you come face to face with the most fundamental illusion of human existence, the very cornerstone of the ego's fortress, the illusion of separation. From the moment you learn to say the word I, you were taught to believe in a world of division. There is me in here, behind these eyes, a fragile island of consciousness, and there is everything else out there, the world, other people, nature, the universe. This perceived duality is the source of our deepest anxieties, because the separate self is, by its very nature, vulnerable and alone. It lives in a constant state of fear. It fears it will not get enough love, enough resources, enough validation from the other. It fears being overwhelmed, judged, or destroyed by the vast world outside its borders. And its ultimate terror is the fear of its own extinction, the fear of death, when the boundary of the skin dissolves and the separate I ceases to be. This feeling of profound isolation is the root of so much of our suffering, and your soul chose to experience it, in all its painful intensity, for the sole purpose of allowing you the magnificent joy of seeing through it. Imagine a single wave, rising from the tranquil expanse of the ocean. As it takes form, it develops a sense of self. It looks to its left and right and sees other waves, some larger, some more graceful, some more powerful. It begins to compare, to compete. It feels the sun on its back and the wind in its spray, and believes these are its personal experiences. It has a story. I was born from the calm. I am now traveling, and my destiny is to reach that distant shore. The wave's entire identity is bound up in its temporary form. Its greatest fear is the shoreline. It has watched countless other waves, its brothers and sisters, crash upon the sand and disappear into a chaos of foam. To the wave, This is death. It is the end of everything it knows itself to be. And so, it spends its life in a state of anxiety, resisting its own nature, fearing its own destination. But then, its moment comes. It is pulled inexorably toward the shore. It rises to its full height in a final, glorious expression of self, and then it breaks. It dissolves. And in that moment of complete dissolution, of utter surrender, the wave has the most profound realization. My God, it understands, I am not the wave. I am the entire ocean. It was never separate. It was never born, and it can never die. Its life as a wave was just a game, a beautiful, fleeting way for the ocean to experience itself, to play with form, light, and shadow. The crashing was not a death. It was a homecoming. It was a remembering. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. Your body, your name, your personality, your memories, your story. This is the unique and beautiful shape of the wave you are for this lifetime. But your true nature, the essence of who you are, is the vast, timeless, and undivided ocean of consciousness itself. The very purpose of your soul choosing the experience of being a separate wave was to have this exact moment of awakening, this exhilarating recognition of your own boundless divinity. The loneliness you feel is the wave's amnesia. The fear of death is the wave's misunderstanding. The need for external validation is the wave's forgetting of its own oceanic power. This is not just poetry or spiritual metaphor. The deepest insights of modern physics echo this ancient wisdom. Quantum mechanics reveals a universe where, at the most fundamental level, there are no solid, separate things. There is only a shimmering, interconnected web of energy and potential. Particles exist in relationship, defined by their connection to everything else. The act of observing changes what is observed. The universe is not a collection of objects. It is a single, indivisible whole. The atoms that make up your hand right now were forged in the heart of a star billions of years ago. The air you are breathing was just breathed by the tree outside your window. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, experiencing itself as a human for a little while. To truly grasp this is to change everything. How can you feel lonely when you know you are intimately connected to every star in the sky and every blade of grass on the earth? How can you truly harm another when you realize they are another expression of you, another wave of the same ocean? The pain you inflict on another is a vibration that ripples through the entire ocean and inevitably returns to you. The love and compassion you offer to another is a healing balm that soothes the entire ocean, including yourself. This is the true, energetic basis of karma. It is not a cosmic system of reward and punishment, but the simple, elegant physics of a unified field. What you do to another, you do to yourself, because there is no other. Look at the people in your life, the one who loves you and the one who has hurt you. See them both as waves in the same ocean as you. They are playing their part in your soul's curriculum, just as you are playing a part in theirs. Look at the natural world, not as a resource to be used, but as a part of your own larger body. The earth is not your mother. You and the earth are siblings, born of the same cosmic dust, animated by the same universal life force. This realization is the end of loneliness. It is the beginning of true empathy. It is the foundation of unconditional love. It is the remembrance your soul has been aching for. This knowing, this felt sense that you are not a drop in the ocean, but the entire ocean in a drop, is the beginning of real power. It is the foundation for the next great spiritual art, the alchemy of turning the lead of your personal suffering into the gold of universal wisdom. You have come to understand that you are not a separate, isolated being, but an integral part of a vast, unified whole. This realization is a balm for the ache of loneliness, but it may also raise a painful question. If I am one with the universe, why have I suffered so personally? Why have I been given these specific wounds, these traumas that feel so uniquely mine, these scars that I have spent a lifetime trying to hide? You look at the moments that broke you, the betrayals that shattered your trust, the losses that hollowed you out, and you see them as evidence of your brokenness, as stains upon your soul. You have been taught to see your wounds as your shame, the parts of your story that must be concealed, overcome, or forgotten. But the soul has a profoundly different perspective. From its vantage point, your deepest wound is not your greatest liability. It is your most sacred crucible. It is the portal through which you will access your greatest power. This is the divine art of spiritual alchemy, the process of turning the raw, heavy lead of your personal suffering into the radiant, priceless gold of universal wisdom. The ancient alchemists were not merely primitive chemists trying to create material wealth. They were mystics, and their work in the laboratory was a metaphor for the inner transformation of the human soul. They understood that to create gold, one must first have the courage to work with the basest of metals, the prima materia, the lead. In your life, this lead is your deepest pain. It is the unacknowledged trauma, the unprocessed grief, the silent shame, the terror that you have locked away in the cellar of your consciousness. The ego's strategy is to deny the lead exists, to pretend it is something else, or to coat it with a thin, brittle layer of false positivity. The soul's strategy, the alchemist's way, is to honor the lead. It is to look at your wound with reverence, to acknowledge its weight and its darkness, and to understand that this very pain you have been running from is the essential raw material for your own enlightenment. Your soul did not choose this trauma because it enjoys suffering. It chose this trauma because it knew that within you was the precise strength, the specific courage, and the exact love needed to perform the great work. The wound was not a punishment, it was an initiation. The first step of the alchemist is to build a proper laboratory, a sacred and protected space for the work ahead. This laboratory is your own consciousness. The central piece of equipment is the ethanor, the alchemical furnace. This furnace is your loving, compassionate, unwavering presence. It is your ability to hold your own pain without judgment and without needing it to change. For years, you have been touching your pain with the tongs of analysis, criticism, and fear, which only makes it more volatile. To become the alchemist, you must learn to hold it in the warm, safe container of your own heart. You must be willing to feel what you feel, simply because it is there. This compassionate presence is the furnace that contains the transformative fire. Without it, you are simply reliving a trauma. With it, you are beginning its transformation. The fire itself is the raw energy of your emotions. It is the heat of your rage, the icy burn of your grief, the crackling electricity of your fear. The alchemist does not try to extinguish this fire. They learn to tend it, to respect its power, and to use its heat to begin the process of purification. The alchemical process unfolds in three great stages. The first, and often the most terrifying, is the nigredo, the blackening. In this stage, the alchemist places the lead into the furnace and burns it until it is reduced to a black, charred ash. It is a process of dissolution, of breaking the material down to its most basic essence. Spiritually, this is the dark night of the soul. This is the moment you stop running. This is where you voluntarily step into the fire you have been avoiding. It means allowing the grief you suppressed to finally wash over you in great, shuddering waves. It means giving your righteous anger a safe voice, perhaps by screaming into a pillow or writing furiously in a journal, letting its energy move through you without harming yourself or another. It means feeling the terror your younger self felt, but this time, your adult consciousness is there as the loving parent, holding that inner child and whispering, "I am here. We are safe now. I will not abandon you." During Nigredo, it feels like you are falling apart. The identity you built, the personality structured around not feeling the wound, begins to crumble. It feels like death, and in a way, it is. It is the death of the false self, the egoic mask. The alchemist knows that this burning away is not a failure. It is a profound purification, stripping away everything that is not essential, everything that is not your true, authentic soul. It is the most courageous work a human can do. From the depths of that black ash, the second stage begins, the albedo, the whitening. After the intense heat of the nigredo, the alchemist takes the ashes and repeatedly washes them with water, purifying them until they become brilliantly white. Spiritually, this is the dawning of new light after the darkness. It is the arrival of clarity, insight, and understanding. As the turbulent energy of the raw emotion subsides, a new, quieter perspective emerges. You begin to look at the story of your wound not from the perspective of the victim, but from the perspective of the soul. You start to see the intricate web of causes and conditions. You may begin to see the person who hurt you not as a monster, but as a deeply wounded soul themselves, unconsciously playing a role they were contracted to play in your spiritual drama. This is not about condoning their actions or absolving them of responsibility. It is about releasing yourself from the toxic, energetic chains of resentment and hatred. This is the stage of forgiveness, which begins always with forgiving yourself. You forgive yourself for any perceived weakness, for not knowing then what you know now. You flood your past self with the compassion you deserved at the time but did not receive. In this white, purified space, you begin to consciously harvest the lessons. What did this experience teach me about boundaries? What did it reveal about my own resilience? What strength was forged in me in that fire that I would not possess otherwise? You begin to find the silver lining, not as a cliché, but as a palpable truth. The black ash of your pain is being washed, and its hidden luminosity is beginning to show. The final stage is the rubedo, the reddening. The alchemist takes the purified white substance and infuses it with spirit, with life, symbolized by the color red, the color of blood and of kings. This is the creation of the philosopher's stone, the legendary substance that can turn any base metal into gold. Spiritually, this is the stage of integration and rebirth. The wisdom you gained in the albedo is no longer just an intellectual understanding. It becomes an embodied, living part of you. You are no longer defined by the wound. You have integrated it, and it has become the source of your greatest gifts. The wound is no longer a scar you hide. It is a radiant mark of your initiation. It is here that the true magic happens. The lead of your personal suffering is transformed into the gold of a universal gift. The person who was abandoned and learned to heal that wound becomes a master at creating true, unconditional belonging for others. The person whose voice was silenced becomes a powerful advocate for the voiceless. The person who experienced deep betrayal becomes a beacon of integrity and profound loyalty. Your specific pain has given you a specific medicine. The precise nature of your wound has cultivated in you a unique superpower. Your empathy is no longer theoretical. It is visceral. You can sit with another person in their darkness without fear, because you have navigated your own. Your compassion is not pity. It is the deep recognition of a shared journey. You have completed the great work. You have created the philosopher's stone within your own heart, the ability to meet any suffering in yourself or another and transmute it into love. This is the purpose of your deepest pain. Consider the pearl. A grain of sand, an irritant, a source of pain, lodges itself inside the tender flesh of an oyster. The oyster's natural response is not to try and eject the sand, but to transform it. It begins to coat the irritant, layer by shimmering layer, with nacre, the luminous substance of its own being. Over years, it transforms the source of its suffering into a thing of radiant, iridescent beauty. The wound is not just healed, it becomes the very nucleus of a precious gem. Your soul is the oyster, your trauma is the grain of sand, and your compassionate attention is the nacre. You are not meant to simply recover from your wounds and get back to normal. You are meant to create a pearl of wisdom so beautiful and so unique that it becomes a luminous gift to the world. Your healing is not just for you, it is for the collective. The gold you create in your own alchemical furnace adds to the treasury of light for all of humanity. So do not despair in the face of your wounds. Do not hide your scars. They are not marks of your shame, but proof of your strength. They are the evidence that you were given a heavy piece of lead and had the divine courage to become the alchemist. This process of turning personal pain into universal wisdom is the very engine of the law of attraction, but not in the way you have been taught. You do not attract what you simply want or ask for. In truth, you attract what you are, and this alchemy fundamentally changes the very substance of your being. You have walked through the fire of your own pain and emerged with the gold of wisdom. You have felt the illusion of your separateness begin to dissolve. The very substance of your being, the fundamental note that you broadcast to the cosmos, has started to change. It is from this new place of power that we must now re-examine one of the most popular and misunderstood spiritual laws of our time. You have been told that you attract what you think about, that if you just visualize clearly enough, repeat enough affirmations, and maintain a state of relentless positive thinking, the universe will deliver your desires to your doorstep like a cosmic catalog. And so you tried. You created vision boards, you chanted mantras, you fought a desperate war against every negative thought. Yet, you may have found that the things you want most remain frustratingly out of reach, leaving you feeling like a failure, or that the law itself is a lie. The law is not a lie, but the popular understanding of it is a shallow fraction of a profound truth. The universe is not a cosmic servant that responds to the fickle demands of your ego. It is a perfect, impartial mirror that reflects the total frequency of your being. The secret is not that you attract what you want. It is that you attract what you are. There is a universe of difference between those two statements. The state of wanting is, by its very nature, a state of lack. When you are desperately wanting a loving partner, the dominant energy you are broadcasting is the painful absence of that partner. When you are desperately wanting financial abundance, the frequency you are emitting is one of scarcity and not enough. You are screaming your lack into the cosmic mirror, and the mirror, in its perfect fidelity, can only reflect more evidence of that lack back to you. Wanting, in this energetic sense, pushes your desire away. The ego wants things to fill its own emptiness. The soul, however, is not interested in filling the void. It is interested in revealing that the void was never empty to begin with. To understand this law, imagine a tuning fork. If you have a tuning fork calibrated to the note of middle C, and you strike it, its tines will vibrate at a precise frequency of 261.63 Hz. This vibration travels through the air as a sound wave. If there is another tuning fork nearby that is also calibrated to middle C, it will begin to vibrate and hum in sympathy without ever being touched. This is the law of resonance. But if the nearby tuning fork is calibrated to the note of G, it will remain silent, inert. It cannot respond to a frequency that is not its own. You are a human tuning fork. Your life, with all its circumstances, people, and events, is the room full of other tuning forks. The experiences that resonate with you, the ones that show up in your life again and again, are the ones that are tuned to the same fundamental frequency that you yourself are broadcasting. This core frequency of your being is not determined by the positive affirmations you repeat on the surface of your mind. It is the deep, underlying hum of your entire energetic system. It is a composite signal made of several things. First, your subconscious beliefs. These are the foundational truths you learned as a child and hold about yourself and the world, often without even realizing it. Beliefs like, I am not worthy of love, the world is a dangerous place, or I have to struggle for everything I get. These beliefs set the fundamental pitch of your tuning fork. Second, your emotional home. This is the dominant emotional state you tend to inhabit. Is it a state of chronic anxiety, of simmering resentment, of cynical disappointment, or is it a state of gratitude and peace? This emotional climate gives your note its quality, its timbre. Finally, and most powerfully, your frequency is determined by your unhealed, unalchemized wounds. An unhealed trauma of betrayal constantly broadcasts a signal of victimhood and untrustworthiness. An unhealed wound of abandonment broadcasts a signal of loneliness and unworthiness. The universe, hearing these signals, can only bring you people and situations that resonate with that frequency, giving you more opportunities to feel betrayed, untrustworthy, or abandoned, not as a punishment, but so that the unconscious pattern can be brought into the light and healed. This is why the alchemical work you have been exploring is the true secret to manifesting a new reality. You cannot just paint a new picture on your vision board. You must become a new artist. You cannot just repeat the affirmation, "I am abundant." If your entire being is humming with the frequency of scarcity learned in childhood, the universe doesn't hear the lie you are telling. It hears the truth you are living. The real work, therefore, is not to chase after things outside of yourself. The real work is to change your own resonant frequency. It is to go into the laboratory of your soul and retune your own instrument. This is the culmination of everything we have discussed. You practice inner silence to become aware of the subconscious beliefs that are setting your pitch. You learn to honor your feelings so that emotional energy can flow through you instead of becoming trapped as a low-frequency broadcast of pain. And you bravely perform the alchemy on your deepest wounds, transforming the lead of trauma, which broadcasts a frequency of fear and separation, into the gold of wisdom, which broadcasts a frequency of love and wholeness. To attract more love into your life, the work is not to find the perfect person. The work is to become a more loving person. You tune your fork to the frequency of love by offering it unconditionally to yourself, by forgiving your past, by practicing compassion, and by seeing the divine in those around you. You embody the feeling of love itself, and the universe will then mirror that state back to you. To attract abundance, the work is to become an abundant being. You cultivate a state of profound gratitude for the blessings you already have, no matter how small. You trust in the flow of life. You act not from a place of desperate scarcity, but from a place of knowing that you are an inseparable part of a universe of infinite potential. You embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You stop chasing, and you start being. You become the tuning fork that is already vibrating at the frequency of the reality you wish to experience. When you change your being, you change your signal. And when you change your signal, the symphony of your life must, by universal law, change its tune. This shift from chasing to being changes your entire world. And nowhere is this principle of resonance more potent, more challenging, and more transformative than in the realm of your relationships with others, especially those that bring you the most difficulty. You are a resonant being, a human tuning fork, broadcasting the truth of who you are into the great, reflective field of the universe. You understand that your life mirrors your frequency, and you have begun the sacred alchemical work of healing your wounds and changing your fundamental note. But now comes the ultimate test. It is one thing to feel a sense of peace and interconnectedness in the quiet of your own meditation. It is another thing entirely to hold that peace when you think of them. The parent who never saw you, the partner who betrayed you, the friend who abandoned you, the boss who humiliated you. Bring one such person to your mind now. Feel the familiar echo of the pain they caused. The story of injustice, the bitter resentment, the anger that still feels so sharp and so justified. These difficult relationships are the graduate-level courses in the curriculum of the soul. They are where the deepest work is done, and where the most profound liberation is found. Because these people are not what they seem. They are not your enemies. They are your most sacred partners, here to fulfill a contract that was signed in love before time began. This is perhaps the most challenging and transformative truth you will ever embrace. The souls who have caused you the most profound suffering in this life are often the souls who love you the most. Before you incarnated, in that state of pure, unified consciousness, You sat down with these other souls to design the curriculum for your lifetime. You knew that to achieve the growth you desired, to heal the ancient patterns you carried, you would need powerful catalysts. You would need mirrors so clear and so unflinching that you could no longer ignore the unhealed parts of yourself. And so, out of a love that transcends human understanding, another soul agreed to play a difficult role for you. They agreed to wear the mask of the antagonist. They volunteered to be the one who would push your buttons, betray your trust, or fail to give you the love you craved. They loved you enough to agree to be the one you might hate, so that you could finally learn to love yourself unconditionally. They are not your punisher. They are your spiritual sandpaper, your most dedicated and courageous teacher, and their painful actions are the abrasive friction necessary to polish the raw diamond of your soul into a brilliant gem. Imagine a rough, uncut diamond. Its potential is immense, but its surface is dull, its inner fire obscured. To reveal its magnificent, multifaceted brilliance, it must be subjected to intense pressure and friction, usually from another diamond. The process is not gentle. It is abrasive, it generates heat, and it involves chipping away parts of the stone. This process does not harm the diamond, it reveals it. You are this diamond, and the difficult person in your life is the diamond chosen by you to be your polisher. Their personality, their fears, their unhealed wounds make them the perfect abrasive surface to grind against the specific roughness of your own unhealed parts. This is the law of resonance in its most intimate and challenging form. Consider how this works. If you carry a deep core wound of "I am not worthy," your soul, in its desire for you to heal this, will enter into a contract with another soul who will perfectly mirror that wound back to you. They may incarnate as a critical parent who can never be pleased, or a partner who constantly makes you feel you are not good enough. Their behavior is the relentless sandpaper grinding against your wound of unworthiness. The pain is excruciating. But the purpose is not to prove that you are unworthy. The purpose is to make the pain of that wound so conscious, so unavoidable, that you are finally forced to stop seeking worthiness from them and begin the sacred work of sourcing it from within yourself. If you carry a deep wound of abandonment, your soul will contract with another to play the role of the one who leaves. Their emotional or physical distance grinds against your deepest fear, not to torture you, but to compel you to learn to never ever abandon yourself. The difficult person is the living embodiment of the lesson your soul is most hungry to learn. They are a divine assignment. To truly embrace this perspective is to shatter the chains of victimhood forever. As long as you believe that they did this to me, you are a prisoner of your own story, giving them the key to your emotional freedom. You will wait for an apology that may never come, or for them to change in a way they may never be able to. But when you can shift your perspective, even for a moment, to "this experience was co-created for me, for my ultimate awakening," the entire dynamic changes. The power returns to you. This does not mean you condone their harmful behavior on a human level. It does not mean you must stay in an abusive situation. On the contrary, realizing the soul-level purpose of the relationship may be the very thing that gives you the clarity and strength to set firm boundaries or to walk away entirely. But you do so not from a place of reactive anger or woundedness, but from a place of empowered wisdom. You can say, "I understand the lesson now. Thank you for your service. The contract is complete." The focus shifts entirely from their behavior to your inner landscape. The question is no longer, "Why did they do that?" The question becomes, "What unhealed part of me was this person and this experience perfectly designed to illuminate? What specific wound did their actions force me to finally confront and begin to alchemize?" You stop using your energy to resent them and start using your energy to heal you. And in this space, something miraculous can happen. The intense emotional charge you have carried for years begins to neutralize. The burning hatred softens into a kind of sober understanding. Sometimes, It can even blossom into a profound, impersonal gratitude for the role they played. You realize that without their abrasive presence, you might have remained a dull, unpolished stone forever. Try this radical practice. In a quiet, meditative state, bring the image of this person to your mind. See them not as the human personality who hurt you, but as the luminous soul who, out of great love, agreed to help you grow. From your heart, from the seat of your own soul, silently send them a message. I understand now. I see the role you played. I release you from the burden of my anger and my blame. Thank you for your service. Our contract is complete. Feel the energetic cords that have bound you to them in a painful dynamic begin to dissolve. This is not for them. This is for you. It is the ultimate act of self-liberation. Understanding this sacred contract allows you to finally let go. But letting go is not an act of surrender in defeat. It is an act of supreme power, the act of making space for a new reality to be born. You have looked into the eyes of your most difficult relationships and seen the reflection of a sacred soul-level agreement. You have thanked your teachers, released them from the burden of your blame, and in doing so, you have begun to dissolve the energetic cords that bound you to the past. This act of release is a form of letting go, but these words, letting go, have been misunderstood. They have been draped in connotations of weakness, of failure, of giving up. Our world glorifies the one who holds on, the fighter who never surrenders, the bulldog who clings to the very end. We are taught to apply this same ferocious grip to our inner world, to our grievances, our ambitions, our heartbreaks, and our identities. We believe, on a deep and primal level, that this white-knuckled clinging gives us control. But what if this belief is the very source of our exhaustion? What if the greatest strength is not in holding on, but in the courageous and deliberate act of opening your hand? Letting go is not an admission of defeat. It is a declaration of wisdom. It is not an act of surrender. It is an act of supreme power, the conscious decision to stop wasting your life force on what is finished so you can make space for what is waiting to be born. Consider the energetic reality of clinging. When you hold on to a past hurt, a resentment against someone who wronged you years ago, you are forcing your own being to perpetually relive the trauma. You are drinking a slow-acting poison and hoping the other person will feel its effects. The only one being harmed is you. Your body and your energy field are kept in a state of high alert, a closed loop of fight or flight, replaying a battle that is long over. This consumes a tremendous amount of your sacred life force, leaving you depleted and with little energy to create a new, vibrant future. You are trying to drive forward while staring fixedly into the rearview mirror. Similarly, we cling with ferocious attachment to specific outcomes. We decide that our happiness depends on getting that one job, on marrying that one person, on our life unfolding in one specific, predetermined way. In doing so, we are telling the infinite intelligence of the universe, with all its unimaginable creativity, that it is only allowed to bless us through one tiny, narrow channel. We pray for rain, but we are holding up a thimble instead of a bucket. Our tight grip on a single possibility blinds us to the thousand other, often more beautiful, paths the universe is trying to show us. Perhaps most profoundly, we cling to old identities. We cling to who we were because it is familiar. You might cling to the identity of a survivor, but that identity requires a constant struggle to survive. You might cling to the identity of the victim, but that identity requires a constant perpetrator to give it meaning. You might even cling to a past success, an old version of yourself that was accomplished or admired, but in doing so, you prevent the next, more evolved version of yourself from emerging. You are like a snake that refuses to shed its old tight skin. The new, vibrant skin is already there, waiting, but it cannot breathe as long as you cling to the husk of your former self. Look to the wisdom of a tree in autumn. As the days grow shorter, the tree receives an inner signal. It begins a graceful and intelligent process of letting go. It does not panic. It does not rage against the dying of the light. It does not cling to its beautiful summer leaves, grieving for each one that falls. The tree understands that the leaves have served their purpose. To hold on to them through the winter would be foolish. It would waste precious energy and risk the breaking of its branches under the weight of snow. So, it actively withdraws its life force from the leaves, allowing them to turn brilliant colors and then gently release their hold. This is not a passive act of giving up. It is an active, wise, and courageous act of trust. The tree is conserving its sacred energy, pulling it back into its core, its roots, trusting in the unseen process of the cycle. It knows that this release is the absolute prerequisite for the new growth of spring. By letting the old leaves go, it is making space for the new buds to form. Your life follows this same cyclical wisdom. Your past hurts, your failed relationships, your outdated beliefs about yourself, your rigid attachment to how things should have been, these are your autumn leaves. Your soul is signaling to you that it is time to withdraw your energy from them. It is time to let them fall. It feels like a loss. It feels like a small death, because the ego identifies with the leaves. But your soul, the deep wisdom of the tree, knows that this is life itself. It is the necessary clearing that makes way for your own personal spring. You cannot receive the new while your hands are still clenched around the old. You must open your hands. You must let go. This is more than just an intellectual decision. It is an embodied practice. You can feel the tension of holding on in your own body. Try it now. Clench your fists as tightly as you can. Tighten your jaw. Squeeze the muscles in your shoulders, your stomach, your legs. Hold your breath. Feel the strain, the effort, the sheer exhaustion of maintaining this state of tension. This is the energy of clinging. Now, with a deep and audible sigh, release it all. Let your hands fall open. Let your jaw go slack. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the immediate wave of relief, the sensation of expansion, the creation of space. This physical release is a mirror for the emotional and spiritual release you are invited to undertake. You can create a ritual to anchor this intention. Write down the names, the memories, the beliefs you are ready to let go of on a piece of paper. Acknowledge them one last time, thank them for the lessons they taught you, and then safely burn the paper. As you watch the smoke rise, imagine the energetic burden being lifted from you, dissolving into the vastness of the sky. Or find a stone, hold it in your hand, and pour all the feeling of the burden into it. Then, walk to a river or an ocean and throw it as far as you can, feeling the release as the stone leaves your hand. These rituals speak to the deep, symbolic language of your subconscious mind, signaling that a true shift has occurred. As you stand in this new, open space, you can affirm your intention with a mantra. I release what no longer serves my highest good. I trust the process of my life to bring me what I need. I am creating sacred space for miracles. Letting go is the ultimate act of faith. It is faith in the wisdom of your soul and the benevolence of the universe. It is the deep knowing that you are not losing anything that is truly meant for you. You are only losing the weight that has been holding you down. You are not creating an empty void. You are creating a receptive field, a clearing in the dense forest of your past, where the light can finally stream in and nourish the seeds of your future. As you practice this art of letting go, you are no longer wasting your precious life force. This conserved and purified energy is now available for the highest purpose, to be invested consciously. It becomes the sacred currency that fuels your reality. You have walked the path of release. You have bravely opened your hands and let go of the autumn leaves of your past, the old hurts, the rigid expectations, the identities that no longer serve you. In doing so, you have performed an act of profound energetic conservation. The life force that was once consumed by holding on to the old has been reclaimed. It has returned to your core, purified and potent, like a reservoir of clear water. This reclaimed energy is now available to you, a sacred and powerful asset. But what is its purpose? How is it to be used? We live in a world that has trained us to value external currencies, money, status, possessions above all else. But there is a far more precious, more fundamental currency that governs the quality of every single moment of your existence. This is the sacred currency of your energy, and the tool that directs its flow is your attention. Where your attention goes, your life force follows. The ultimate act of sovereignty is to become a conscious and deliberate master of this, your true wealth. To become a wise investor, you must first conduct an audit of your accounts. You must become ruthlessly honest about where your sacred currency has been leaking away. For most of us, our energy is like a fortune held in a bag full of holes. We walk through the day, unconsciously spilling our life force on things that give us no return, leaving us feeling drained, depleted, and spiritually impoverished by nightfall. Where are the holes in your own vessel? A significant leak is often found in the realm of gossip and idle talk. When you invest your attention in discussing the lives and perceived faults of others, you are spending your gold on dust. You are pouring your precious energy into a low-frequency field of judgment, and in turn, that frequency becomes a part of your own being. Another major leak is the endless scroll, the hypnotic lure of digital distraction. Your attention is the most valuable commodity of the 21st century, and countless platforms are engineered to hijack it, siphon it, and sell it, leaving you feeling agitated and empty. Every moment you spend mindlessly scrolling, you are giving away your creative power for free. Perhaps the largest leaks are internal. We pour colossal amounts of energy into the black holes of worry and regret. We spend our present moment, the only place we have any real power, obsessing over past events that cannot be changed, or catastrophizing about future scenarios that may never come to pass. This is the energetic equivalent of setting your money on fire simply to watch it burn. Furthermore, we hemorrhage our life force by engaging with a constant diet of fear, outrage, and negativity peddled by the news and media. When you immerse your consciousness in these low-frequency fields, you are essentially making a withdrawal from your own account of peace and investing it in an external account of chaos. By the end of the day, you feel anxious and powerless, having forgotten that you yourself funded these feelings with your own sacred currency. Let us reframe this with a new metaphor. Imagine that each morning when you awaken, you are gifted a single beautiful glass filled to the brim with pure, life-giving water. This is your energy for the day. It is a finite and precious allotment. The unconscious person walks through their day with this glass, carelessly spilling it. A splash is wasted on an irritating email. A few drops are flicked away in a moment of road rage. A quarter of the glass is poured onto the dry ground of a pointless argument on social media. Another portion is used to water the weeds of an old resentment. By evening, the glass is empty, and they are desperately thirsty, wondering why they feel so depleted. They have nourished nothing of value. Their own inner garden is parched. The conscious individual, the spiritual alchemist, understands the sacred nature of this water. They hold the glass with reverence. And for every situation, every interaction, every thought that arises, they ask a simple, powerful question. Is this worthy of my water? Is this worthy of my life force? They become the guardian of their own energy. They see that their inner world is a garden, filled with potential seeds of creativity, of peace, of love, of health, of joy. This garden requires daily watering to flourish, and so they make a deliberate choice. They take a sip of their sacred water and they pour it, with intention, onto a creative project. They take another sip and pour it into a moment of deep, present listening with a child or a partner. They pour a portion of their water into preparing a nourishing meal, honoring the temple of their body. They pour some into a period of silent meditation, watering the roots of their own inner peace tree. They understand that where they invest their energy, a harvest will grow. To invest it in anger is to grow a harvest of anger. To invest it in gratitude is to grow a harvest of gratitude. This is the practice of conscious energy investment. It begins the moment you wake up. Before you reach for your phone, before you let the world rush in, take a moment to acknowledge the full glass of water you have been given. Set a clear intention. Today, I am the sovereign of my energy. I will invest it wisely in that which nourishes my soul and contributes to the light of the world. Throughout the day, use the question, "Is this worthy of my life force?" as your constant guide. This simple pause before you engage, before you react, is the space where you reclaim your power. You can even create a loose, energetic budget. Decide in the morning that you will dedicate a certain amount of your energy to your most important projects, to your well-being, and to your relationships. This creates a proactive framework that protects you from the reactive draining of your resources. You are the master of this sacred currency. For too long, you have allowed the world to tell you where your attention must go, and so you have felt like a powerless victim of circumstance, constantly drained by external demands. But that is an illusion. The power has always been yours. By consciously choosing where you place your attention, you move from being a passive consumer of your reality to being its active creator. You are no longer the leaky vessel, but the focused gardener, nurturing the reality you wish to inhabit. When you master this art of investing your sacred energy, you fundamentally alter your relationship with the cosmos. You cease to see it as a random or hostile entity that is constantly testing your limits. Instead, you begin to perceive the universe as a vast, intelligent, and responsive field that is in constant dialogue with you. You realize that it does not test you, it simply and perfectly responds to you. You have learned to become the guardian of your own sacred energy, investing your attention with the wisdom of a master. As you practice this, you begin to perceive the world around you in a new light. It no longer feels like a chaotic, random, or hostile place. Instead, you sense a deep, underlying intelligence, a responsive field that is in constant communication with you. This perception brings you to a critical juncture in your spiritual journey, a place where you must dismantle one of the most pervasive and fear-inducing beliefs embedded in the human psyche, the belief in a God or a universe that tests you. We have been raised on stories of trials and tribulations sent from on high, of divine tests of faith, character, and endurance. We have come to see our hardships as a cosmic examination, a series of hurdles we must clear to prove our worthiness for love, for peace, for salvation. We ask, why is God testing me like this? We live with a subtle, persistent anxiety that we are being watched, judged, and graded by a great, unseen power. This belief, while ancient, stems not from ultimate truth, but from the human ego's need to project its own psychology onto the cosmos. The ego understands life in terms of stories, and stories need drama, heroes, and challenges. So, it creates a narrative in which we are the beleaguered protagonist, and the universe is the stern but potentially benevolent headmaster, setting difficult exams to see if we are worthy of graduation. This framework, however, keeps us in a state of perpetual childhood. It positions us as powerless supplicants, forever trying to please or appease a powerful, unpredictable, and separate authority figure. It is a belief rooted in the illusion of separation. It creates fear, not freedom. It fosters superstition, not wisdom. It forces you to look outside of yourself for answers and approval, when your soul knows that the ultimate power and intelligence of the universe is not separate from you, is the very fabric of your being. Let this truth wash over you and release you from the immense burden of being tested. The universe does not test you, it responds to you. Imagine you are standing in a room whose walls, floor, and ceiling are made of a single flawless mirror. This mirror is alive, intelligent, and infinitely vast. It has no opinion of you. It has no agenda for you. It does not judge your appearance, and it does not applaud your beauty. Its sole, perfect, and inviolable function is to reflect, with absolute and impartial precision, whatever you present to it. If you stand before the mirror and scowl, the face looking back at you will scowl. The mirror is not angry with you. It is not testing your mood. It is simply and perfectly showing you, this is the face you are making. If you smile, the reflection smiles. The mirror is not rewarding you for your happiness. It is showing you, this is the joy you are emanating. This is the true nature of your relationship with the universe. It is a great, conscious mirror. It does not send you experiences to test you. It reflects your own state of being back to you as the circumstances of your life. This is a radical and liberating shift in perspective. The question is no longer, why is this happening to me? The question becomes, what in me is this experience reflecting? When a challenge appears in your life, it is not a test from an external power. It is loving, diagnostic feedback from a responsive universe. It is the mirror showing you, with perfect clarity, the signal that you yourself are broadcasting. If you consistently find yourself in relationships where you feel unseen or unheard, the universe is not testing your patience. It is mirroring back to you a deep inner belief that you are not worthy of being seen and heard. It is reflecting your own habit of making yourself small. If you experience chronic financial lack, the universe is not testing your resilience. It is reflecting your own subconscious beliefs about scarcity or a deep-seated feeling that you do not deserve abundance. The challenging experience will continue to be reflected back to you with increasing intensity until you turn your gaze away from the reflection and toward your own face. The universe is lovingly, patiently showing you where your own energy, your own beliefs, and your own unhealed wounds are out of alignment with your soul's truth. The language of this universal response is varied and eloquent. It speaks to us constantly, though we are often too distracted to listen. Its most obvious language is the language of circumstance. The recurring patterns in your life are not accidents. They are your most important feedback loops. The same kind of person, the same kind of conflict, the same kind of obstacle showing up again and again is a powerful message from the mirror. It's saying, look here, there is a powerful frequency you are emitting in this area of your life. Are you ready to examine it? The people who populate your world are another form of reflection. Those who irritate or anger you the most are often mirroring back to you a disowned part of your own shadow self-equality you possess but have repressed. The person whose arrogance drives you to distraction might be mirroring your own repressed ambition. The person whose weakness you despise might be mirroring your own unacknowledged vulnerability. They are not sent to test you. They are messengers, showing you the parts of yourself you have refused to embrace. Likewise, those you admire, those who inspire you, are mirroring your own highest potential, the qualities that are dormant within you, waiting to be activated. Your own body is perhaps the most intimate and immediate mirror of all. It is a highly sensitive barometer of your inner state. Chronic physical ailments, persistent tension, and unexplained pains are often the body's way of reflecting a sustained state of inner discord. Suppressed anger can manifest as inflammation. Chronic fear can deplete the adrenal system. Unprocessed grief can create a palpable heaviness in the chest. The body is not punishing you or testing your endurance. It is simply the physical dimension of the mirror, showing you where energy has become blocked, where your thoughts and emotions are creating disharmony. Finally, the universe responds in more subtle ways through the language of synchronicity. When you begin to align your energy, to heal your wounds, and to live from your soul's truth, the mirror begins to reflect back encouragement. You think of a long-lost friend, and they call you that afternoon. You need an answer to a question, and a book falls open to the exact right page. You see repeating numbers or symbols that have personal meaning. These are not rewards for passing a test. They are the natural, physical resonance of an aligned state. They are the universe smiling back at you as you smile at it. This understanding transforms your entire experience of life. You are no longer the frightened student in a cosmic exam hall, anxiously trying to guess the right answers to please a stern examiner. You are a scientist in a laboratory, a co-creative partner, in a constant, fascinating dialogue with the cosmos. When a challenge arises, the internal monologue shifts. It is no longer, "Oh no, what have I done wrong? Why am I being tested again?" It becomes, "How interesting. The universe is providing me with some data. It is showing me something about my own energy. What is the feedback here? What belief am I holding that is calling this reflection into being? What is this inviting me to heal?" Fear is replaced by curiosity. Powerlessness is replaced by empowerment. The immense pressure to be perfect and to prove your worthiness dissolves because you realize the mirror of the universe has never judged you. It has only ever reflected you. You are free to be, to create, to make mistakes, and to evolve, all while watching the flawless mirror show you the progress of your own inner work. These tests were only ever feedback, and this feedback is governed by a precise, elegant, and deeply educational principle of cause and effect, a principle that has been called karma. But just as we have misunderstood the nature of universal response, we have deeply misunderstood the true, compassionate purpose of this great law. The universe, you now understand, is not a silent, indifferent void punctuated by divine tests. It is a living, conscious mirror, a responsive field that is in a constant, intimate dialogue with your own state of being. This dialogue, this perfect and impartial reflection of your energy back to you, operates through an elegant and deeply misunderstood universal law. That law is karma. The very word can send a chill down the spine. It conjures images of a great cosmic ledger book where every action is tallied, a system of divine retribution where the sins of the past, even from lifetimes ago, must be paid for in the currency of future suffering. We imagine karma as a universal judge and jury, a force to be feared, a destiny from which we cannot escape. This interpretation, like the belief in a testing God, is a product of the human ego's fear-based thinking. It is a projection of our own primitive systems of crime and punishment onto the flawless workings of the cosmos. It is time to wipe the slate clean and understand this great law, not as your punisher, but as your most dedicated and compassionate teacher. The purpose of your soul's journey is to learn, to grow, and to evolve into a full remembrance of your divine nature. A system of punishment, particularly for actions you may no longer even consciously remember, is a deeply inefficient and unloving method of education. To be punished for a mistake without understanding the lesson behind it breeds only fear, resentment, and confusion. A universe built on principles of love, wisdom, and intelligence would never employ such a crude and ineffective system. The universe is not a courtroom administering sentences. It is a classroom providing lessons. Karma is not the judge. It is the curriculum itself, perfectly tailored to your individual needs. Its sole intention is not your punishment, but your enlightenment. Imagine karma as an infinitely patient and loving tutor assigned to you for the entire duration of your soul's education. This tutor's only goal is to help you master the core subjects of the spirit: compassion, wisdom, love, integrity, forgiveness. When you are presented with a life situation, a problem on the great chalkboard of your reality, you respond with a thought, an action, and an energetic frequency. This is your answer to the problem. Karma, as the teacher, then simply shows you the result of your answer by having you experience the energetic consequences of your own choice. If the lesson is not grasped, the teacher does not punish you. It does not shame you or fail you. It simply says, with infinite patience, "It seems we need more practice with this principle. Let's try another problem." And so, a similar situation, with different characters and a different setting, will appear later in your life, giving you another opportunity to apply the lesson and provide a new answer. Let us make this tangible. Imagine that one of the core subjects in your soul's curriculum this lifetime is to master the principle of compassion. The teacher, karma, first gives you an opportunity to learn this by placing you in a position of power and privilege. Someone comes to you for help. They are vulnerable, needy, perhaps even irritating. You, operating from your unhealed ego, respond with dismissal, arrogance, and a lack of empathy. You fail the test. Now, a punitive, human-like karma would strike you down. But the universal teacher is far more intelligent. It simply notes, lesson on compassion not yet learned. Then perhaps years later, or even in a subsequent lifetime, the teacher presents a new problem. This time, you are the one who is vulnerable. You are the one in need of help, and you are met with dismissal and arrogance. In that moment, as you feel the sting of being treated without compassion, you have a profound, embodied experience of what that energy feels like from the receiving end. The lesson sinks in, not as a theory, but as a felt truth. Your capacity for compassion is now forged in the fire of your own experience. The goal was never to make you suffer, it was to make you understand. This is the elegant and loving nature of the karmic classroom. The recurring patterns in your life are not a sign that you are cursed or unlucky. They are simply the teacher lovingly representing the lessons you have yet to master. If you repeatedly attract partners who are dishonest, it is because you are still working on the curriculum of trust, self-worth, and discernment. If you find yourself in constant power struggles, you are being given endless opportunities to master the lessons of humility and right use of power. To look at your life's most persistent challenges and ask, what lesson is this pattern trying to teach me? Is to begin to consciously cooperate with your own karmic education. You stop seeing your life as a series of unfortunate events and begin to see it as a perfectly designed and deeply meaningful course of study. On a deeper level, karma is not a moral law, but a law of energetic physics. It is a neutral and impersonal principle of cause and effect. Every single action, word, and thought you generate releases a specific vibration, a ripple of energy, into the unified field of consciousness. Because you are inseparable from that field, that ripple must, by law, eventually circle back to its point of origin, you. It is as simple and as impartial as the law of gravity. Gravity does not judge you for stepping off a cliff. It simply provides the inevitable consequence. Karma does not judge you for an act of cruelty. It simply returns the energetic consequence of that cruelty to your experience. An act of generosity creates a ripple of warmth and abundance that must, in some form, return to you. An intention of love creates a harmonious frequency that will attract more harmony into your life. The suffering that results from our negative actions is not a punishment. It is the natural, built-in feedback of the system, designed to show us that we are acting out of alignment with the fundamental harmony of the cosmos. The pain is a teacher, pointing us back towards skillful action that creates joy, peace, and liberation for ourselves and for all beings. You are not doomed or imprisoned by the karma of your past. While past actions do create present conditions, you are not a helpless pawn. In every single moment, you possess the supreme power of free will. You can choose a new action. You can choose a new thought. You can choose a new intention. By acting with consciousness, love, and compassion right now, you begin to send out new ripples, new frequencies that will begin to shape a new future. You are the one who can break the cycle. To take responsibility for your current reality as the result of past causes without blame or shame, and to consciously choose to create new, life-affirming causes in this very moment, is the essence of spiritual freedom. Karma is not a life sentence to be feared, but a living feedback system to be understood. It is the universe itself, acting as your wisest and most patient teacher, guiding you back home to your true self. To work skillfully with this law, to learn the lessons your karma presents, you must learn to operate from the only point in time where choice truly exists, the only place where new causes can be created and old cycles can be broken. This is the sacred nexus of all power, the present moment. You stand now with a new understanding of the great laws of life. You see that the universe responds to you, that it does not test you. You see that karma is a wise teacher, not a cruel punisher. With this knowledge, you are ready to wield the power of creation, to consciously engage with your soul's curriculum, and to shape your reality. But where does this power truly lie? Where is the point of action where new causes can be set in motion and old karmic cycles can finally be broken? We have been conditioned to believe that this power lies in wrestling with our past or in meticulously planning our future. We spend our lives adrift in the phantom realms of memory and projection, haunted by what was and anxious about what might be. We have become ghosts in our own lives, rarely ever present for the only thing that is real, the ultimate secret, the portal to all power, healing, and freedom, is not found in time. It is found in the timeless, eternal nexus, where all timelines converge, the sacred present moment. Let us dismantle the prisons of past and future that hold the human mind captive. First, consider the past. You believe it has immense power over you, that its wounds dictate your present and its regrets define you. But where does this past actually exist? It is not happening anymore. You cannot go there. The past exists only in one place, as a collection of memory traces, neurological pathways, and energetic imprints within your own mind and body. When you say you are thinking about the past, you are not actually time traveling. You are activating a memory in the present moment. The pain of a past betrayal is not felt in the past. It is felt now, when the memory is reactivated. The shame of a past failure is not experienced back then. It is experienced now, when the story is replayed in your consciousness. This is a revelation of profound importance. It means that the power to heal the past is not in the past. It is entirely here, in the now. You cannot change the events that occurred, but you have absolute power, in this moment, to change your relationship to them. You can meet the memory with the compassion that was absent then. You can forgive yourself now for what you did not know then. You can release the stored emotional energy from your body now. The past has no power over you, only the power you give it by constantly pulling it into your present. The future is an even more seductive and powerful illusion. It does not exist at all, not even as a memory. It is a complete mental fabrication, a projection of the mind. And yet, how much of your precious life force is spent there? All anxiety, without exception, is future-oriented. Anxiety is the experience of imagining a negative outcome that has not happened, and then generating the emotional and physiological response now, as if it were already real. You suffer from a business failure that has not occurred. You grieve a rejection that you have only imagined. You are fighting phantoms in a land of make-believe, while real life, this precious, sacred moment, passes by completely unnoticed. You believe that by worrying about the future, you can control it. But the only way to influence the future is to inhabit the present with your full consciousness. The future is born out of the quality of your presence now. A present moment lived in anxiety and fear can only seed a future of more anxiety and fear. A present moment lived in peace, gratitude, and conscious action is the only fertile ground from which a peaceful and abundant future can grow. The now is all there ever is. It is the eternal, changeless stage upon which the fleeting dramas of past and future are projected. Your thoughts may wander through time, but your body is always, unequivocally, in the present moment. Your heart is beating now. You are breathing now. The sounds you hear are happening now. Life itself is only ever happening in this timeless, vertical depth, never in the horizontal line of psychological time. This is where your power is. This is the point of creation. You cannot choose in the past. You cannot act in the future. You can only choose and act now. To break a karmic cycle, you must make a new choice, a more conscious choice, in this very moment. To heal a wound, you must apply the balm of your loving attention to it now. To experience peace, you must stop seeking it in a future outcome and instead access the deep well of peace that lies just beneath the turbulent surface of your mind right now. Think of your life as a great, sacred book. The pages that have already been turned are the past. You can reflect on them, learn from their stories, see the patterns, but you cannot go back and unwrite a single word. The pages that are yet to come are the future. They are blank. You can imagine what they might contain, you can hope and you can fear, but you cannot know their contents until you arrive at them. Your entire power, your whole existence, is condensed into the infinitesimally thin, luminous edge of the single page, where the story is actively unfolding, this present moment. To be lost in the past is to be endlessly rereading old chapters. To be lost in the future is to be staring at blank pages. To be awakened is to give your full, undivided attention to the sentence that is being written right now. How do you return to this sacred center when the mind's pull toward time is so strong? You must use anchors. An anchor does not stop the storm, but it holds the ship steady in its place. Your first and most faithful anchor is your breath. Your breath is never in the past or the future. It is always happening now. When you feel yourself lost in thought, simply bring your attention to the physical sensation of the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then gently leaving your body. Do not try to change it. Just feel it. In that moment of pure feeling, you have left the world of thought and arrived home in the world of reality. Your second anchor is your senses. The mind thinks, but the senses experience. Pause for a moment and consciously engage them. Notice 5 things you can see in your immediate vicinity, without the mind's labels. Just see the color, the shape, the light. Notice 4 things you can feel physically: the pressure of the chair against your back, the texture of your clothing, the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice 3 things you can hear as pure sound. This simple practice yanks your consciousness out of the abstract realm of time and plants it firmly in the rich, vibrant soil of the now. A third, more subtle anchor is the feeling of your own inner body. Close your eyes and feel the subtle tingle of aliveness in your hands. Can you feel the energy pulsating gently within them? Now feel it in your feet, your legs, your arms. This inner energy field is the direct signature of life itself, and it is always, always present. By resting your attention inside your body, you inhabit your most direct connection to the now. The goal is not to declare war on thought or to pretend that the past and future have no relevance. The past is a valuable teacher. The future is a space for creative intention. The goal is to stop taking up residence in these imaginary realms. Visit them when necessary, but do not live there. Your true address is the present moment. It is the only place you will ever find God, the only place you will ever find peace, and the only place where you are truly alive. As you practice grounding yourself in this powerful now, you become more and more aware of the incredible vessel that makes this present moment experience possible. This vessel, which you have likely taken for granted or even viewed as a source of trouble, is your most sacred anchor in this physical reality. Your body. You have found the gateway. You have discovered that all power, all peace, and all of life itself resides in the sacred, eternal now. You have learned to use your breath and your senses as anchors, pulling your awareness out of the phantom worlds of past and future and into the living reality of this very moment. As you practice this presence, one truth becomes undeniable. The entire experience of the now is filtered through and made possible by one extraordinary, intelligent, and often misunderstood vessel. It is the very thing that anchors your formless consciousness to this physical plane. It is the instrument through which you touch, taste, see, and hear the world. It is your most intimate companion from your first breath to your last, and yet it may be the thing you have most resented, neglected, and sought to escape. This sacred anchor in reality is your body. For centuries, a deep schism has been driven between the spiritual and the physical. We have been taught by various philosophies and religions to see the body as a source of trouble, a cage for the soul, a beast of crude appetites that must be tamed, disciplined, or even punished. We see it as a source of pain, a vessel of sickness, a constant reminder of the mortality our ego so desperately wishes to deny. In our spiritual pursuits, we often seek to transcend the body, to rise above its limitations and live in a purely mental or energetic realm. We feel betrayed by its aging, frustrated by its fatigue, and ashamed of its perceived imperfections. We have made an adversary out of our most loyal and essential ally. This war against the body is a war against the very nature of our human incarnation. Your soul did not come here to escape the body. It came here to fully inhabit it. To heal this profound split, let us use a new metaphor. Imagine your soul, prior to this life, as a being of pure, formless energy, an astronaut of consciousness, floating in the timeless, spaceless expanse of spirit. Out of a desire for a new and different kind of adventure, it decides to embark on a mission to a unique and fascinating planet, Earth. This planet has different laws, a different density. It has linear time, sensory experiences, and the rich curriculum of emotions. To explore this world, the soul knows it cannot go in its formless, energetic state. It needs a vehicle, a highly advanced, custom-designed biological spacesuit that will allow it to interact with this new dimension. That spacesuit is your body. It was not randomly assigned to you. It was meticulously chosen and designed by your soul for the specific mission of this lifetime. Your genetic heritage, your physical constitution, your unique strengths and vulnerability all are part of the suit's specifications, perfectly calibrated for the lessons you came here to learn. Seen from this perspective, the body's functions become sacred. First and foremost, the spacesuit acts as your anchor. Its very density and grounding in the five senses is what keeps your expansive, infinite consciousness tethered to the present moment on this physical plane. Without the anchor of the body, your soul would simply drift back into the formless sea of the cosmos. The body is what allows you to be here to learn your lessons. To resent its physicality is to resent the very condition that makes your mission possible. Secondly, the spacesuit is your sensory instrument panel. The eyes that see a sunset, the ears that hear music, the skin that feels the warmth of a loving touch, the tongue that tastes a ripe piece of fruit. These are not sinful distractions. They are the high-fidelity sensors your soul designed to experience the exquisite beauty and texture of this world. To deny or denigrate the senses is to be an astronaut who lands on a magnificent new planet and refuses to look out the window. Your soul came here for this sensory feast. Most importantly, the spacesuit has its own intelligent communication system, a biofeedback loop that is constantly providing you with vital information. We have been trained to ignore this language or to curse it. A feeling of fatigue is not a weakness. It is the suit's energy gauge telling you that you need to rest and recharge your power cells. Aches and pains are not your body betraying you. They are diagnostic warning lights on your dashboard, alerting you to an imbalance, an inflammation, or a stored emotional energy that needs your attention. A gut feeling is the suit's powerful intuitive antenna, picking up on subtle energetic data that your rational mind cannot perceive. Hunger is the signal to provide the suit with the high-quality fuel it needs to function optimally. Your body is in constant, loving dialogue with you, and it is relentlessly honest. It cannot lie. It lives completely in the truth of the now, and when you learn to listen to its whispers, you will no longer need to hear its screams. How, then, do you begin to re-inhabit this sacred vessel and heal the ancient divide? You must begin to practice embodiment. This is the act of bringing your conscious, loving awareness back into your body. Throughout your day, make a habit of pausing. Close your eyes, take a breath, and ask your body a simple question: what do you need from me right now? Then listen, not with your ears, but with your feeling sense. The answer may be surprisingly simple. A glass of water, a deep stretch, a walk in the fresh air, a moment of stillness away from a screen. By engaging in this dialogue, you begin to treat your body as a cherished partner rather than a beast of burden. Reframe the act of eating. It is not merely fueling a machine or indulging an appetite. It is a sacred ritual. As you prepare and eat your food, do so with presence and gratitude, knowing that you are offering your earthly temple the very building blocks of life. Reframe the act of movement. It is not a punishment for what you ate or a grim duty to be endured. Movement is a prayer of gratitude for the miracle of your body. Whether you are walking in nature, dancing to music, practicing yoga, or simply stretching in the morning sun, feel the joy of your muscles contracting, your lungs expanding, your heart beating. Celebrate what your body can do, rather than focusing on what it can't. And finally, you must learn to honor the sacred art of rest. In our culture of relentless productivity, rest is seen as laziness. This is a profound error. Rest is a vital, active process of healing, integration, and recalibration for your biological spacesuit. To grant your body the deep rest it requires is an act of supreme self-love and wisdom. Your body is your most loyal friend in this lifetime. It is the only thing that is with you from the very beginning to the very end. It is the anchor that holds you in the power of the now. It is the instrument that plays the music of your life. To be truly spiritual is not to escape or transcend your body. It is to incarnate fully within it, to infuse every cell with the light of your conscious presence. This is the true meaning of being grounded or down to earth. When you are fully anchored in your body, living in the present moment, you cultivate a deep and unshakable core of self-possession. This inner stability gives you the profound courage required for the next stage of your liberation. The courage to release the deep, primal need for external approval and to finally be disliked for who you truly are. You are now anchored in the power of the present moment, inhabiting the sacred vessel of your body with a loving awareness. You have built an inner sanctuary, a core of self-possession that is stable and true. From this grounded place, you are ready to undertake one of the most liberating and perhaps most terrifying acts of the human journey. You are ready to sever the invisible chains that have bound you since birth, the chains forged from your deep and primal need for external approval. For you to be truly free, you must cultivate the courage to be disliked. This need for acceptance is not a personal flaw. It is a deep, evolutionary wiring. For our ancient ancestors, belonging to the tribe was a matter of life and death. To be accepted, to fit in, meant access to food, shelter, and protection. To be cast out, to be disliked by the group, meant almost certain death. This ancient fear is encoded in your nervous system. It operates beneath the surface of your conscious mind, and it dictates so much of your behavior. It is the reason you say yes when your whole being is screaming no. It is the reason you silence your own opinion in a group, choosing to nod along rather than rock the boat. It is the reason you shrink yourself, dim your own light, and betray your own soul's truth in 1,000 small ways every day, all in exchange for the fleeting comfort of being liked, or at the very least, not being disapproved of. You have been living in a self-imposed prison, and the bars are forged from your perception of other people's opinions. This prison of approval is a place of profound inauthenticity and energetic exhaustion. When your sense of worth is outsourced, when it depends on the applause and validation of others, you hand over the keys to your own happiness to every person you meet. You become a spiritual chameleon, constantly sampling the energetic air of the room and shifting your colors to blend in. The cost of this life is immense. It requires a colossal amount of your sacred energy to constantly monitor others, to manage their perceptions of you, and to perform the role you believe they want you to play. It is utterly depleting. In this state, you cannot hear the quiet, steady voice of your own intuition. Your inner compass, the guidance system of your soul, is drowned out by the clamor of external expectations. And beneath it all, a deep, often unconscious resentment begins to build, resentment toward those you are trying so hard to please, and a bitter resentment toward yourself for your own constant self-betrayal. This is not the life your soul envisioned for you. Your soul did not incarnate on this planet to be a watered-down, pleasing, acceptable version of someone else's idea of you. It came here to be fully, magnificently, and unapologetically itself. Imagine a wolf pack, moving as one through the wilderness. Within the pack, there is safety, there is community, there is a clear set of rules and a defined hierarchy. To be a part of the pack is to know your place, to be protected, to survive. This is the comfort of living within the accepted norms of your family, your culture, your society. But one day, a wolf within the pack catches a scent on the wind that no one else seems to notice. It hears a faint call from the deep, dark woods, a howl that resonates with something ancient and wild within its own heart. This is the call of its soul, the summons to its own unique destiny. The wolf now faces a choice. It can ignore the call, suppress its own wild nature, and remain safe and accepted within the pack. It will survive, but it will live a life of quiet desperation, its true song forever unsung. Or it can answer the call. It can step out of the line, leave the familiar trail, and walk into the woods alone. The moment it does, the pack may turn on it. They may see its departure as an act of arrogance, of foolishness, or of treason. From the pack's perspective, which values collective security above all else, the lone wolf is making a grave mistake. But for the lone wolf, this is the ultimate act of integrity. It is an act of loyalty not to the pack, but to the truth of its own soul. The path of the lone wolf is not an easy one. It requires profound self-reliance, courage, and a willingness to face the unknown. But it is a path of absolute freedom. It is the path of authentic power. It is the only path where the wolf can truly fulfill the purpose for which it was born. You are that wolf. You have heard the call of your soul, and the fear of being disliked, of being cast out by the pack, is the only thing standing between you and the wild, beautiful forest of your own destiny. Cultivating this courage is not about becoming abrasive, rude, or contrarian for its own sake. It is about a quiet, centered alignment with your own truth. It is a practice. You build this muscle like any other. Start small. The next time someone asks you for something you do not have the time or energy to give, politely say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not able to do that right now." Do not over-explain or make excuses. Simply state your truth. Notice the fear and discomfort that arises, the fear of their disappointment, and breathe into it. Sit with it. Notice that the world does not end. The person may be momentarily disappointed, but you have honored yourself. You have stayed true. Next, in a low-stakes conversation, practice stating a genuine opinion, even if it differs from the consensus. You can do this gently. That's a valid point. The way I see it is a little different. You are not seeking conflict, you are simply ceasing to self-abandon. The most powerful practice of all is to begin to consciously follow your own joy, especially if it is something others do not understand. Give yourself permission to spend an afternoon reading poetry, walking in the woods, meditating, or working on a creative project that has no productive goal, instead of attending the social function you feel obligated to go to. Every time you choose your own authentic joy over an external obligation, you are casting a powerful vote for your soul. You are teaching your own nervous system that your source of validation comes from within. Your guide is no longer the applause of the crowd, but the quiet, resonant feeling of peace and rightness in your own heart. When you are no longer afraid of being disliked, you are finally free to be yourself. You become a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not run around the coastline, polling ships to see if they approve of its light, its position, or its timing. It does not dim its light for ships that are heading in a different direction. It simply stands on its rock, anchored and true, and shines its light without apology. Some will use your light to find their way. Some will be annoyed by it. Many will not notice it at all. It is of no concern to the lighthouse. Its job is not to be liked. Its job is to shine. As you stand in this newfound freedom, shining your authentic light, you begin to realize a profound truth. You are not on a journey to find who you are. The search is over. You are now on a journey of remembering who you have been all along. You stand now in a place of radical authenticity. You have cultivated the courage to be disliked, to let your own inner truth be your guide, and to shine your unique light without apology, regardless of the world's reception. From this powerful stance of self-sovereignty, you are ready to embrace a truth that will dismantle the very foundation of the spiritual search itself. For your entire life, you have been told that you are on a journey to find yourself. This phrase is woven into the fabric of our culture. It suggests that you are lost, broken, or incomplete. It sends you on a desperate external questo, travel the world, to climb the corporate ladder, to try on 100 different identities, to find the perfect partner, all in the hope that you will one day stumble upon that missing piece of you, the final ingredient that will make you whole and happy. This entire paradigm, this frantic search, is based on a fundamental illusion. It is a game the ego plays to keep itself busy, to keep itself in charge of an endless and exhausting project of self-improvement. Let this be the moment the search ends. Let this be the immense relief your soul has been waiting to hear. You are not lost. You have never been lost. You are not a project to be fixed. You do not need to find yourself, because you have never been missing. The entire journey is not one of finding, but of remembering. It is not an act of construction, of building a better, more spiritual self. It is an act of excavation, of demolition. It is the sacred art of lovingly and patiently removing all that is not you, so that the magnificent, perfect, and eternally whole being that you have always been can finally be revealed. To understand this process of remembering, you must first understand the great forgetting. Imagine that at the moment of your birth, your soul manifested as a magnificent, solid gold statue. It was pristine, radiant, and intrinsically aware of its own immense value and divinity. It knew, without question, that it was perfect and whole. But as this pure golden statue was placed into the world began to cover it. The first layer was a thick, wet coat of mud applied by your family and upbringing. It was made of their beliefs, their fears, their expectations, and their unresolved traumas. They told you who you were. You are the clever one. You are the sensitive one. You are not good at sports. Our family is not the kind of family that... This layer of mud began to obscure the gold, and you began to believe the mud was you. Then came the next layer, a hard, gray plaster of social and cultural conditioning. At school, through media, and in your community, you were taught what was acceptable. You were told how a man or a woman should act, what success looks like, what is considered beautiful, and what you should strive for. You learned to compare your statue to others, to feel shame if yours didn't fit the approved mold. This plaster covered the mud, adding another layer of false identity. Then, as you moved through life, you experienced your own personal wounds, the betrayals, the failures, the heartbreaks. With each painful experience, you applied your own protective layer of hard cement. You built walls of cynicism to protect your heart. You developed an armor of intellectualism to avoid feeling vulnerable. You created coping mechanisms and personality traits designed not to express your true nature, but to prevent you from being hurt again. After decades of this process, the original golden statue is completely hidden. It is buried under layers of mud, plaster, and cement. It looks in the mirror and sees a lumpy, misshapen, colorless figure. It feels heavy, burdened, and disconnected from its own light. It has completely forgotten its true nature. It believes that it is the mud. This is the state of the asleep human. And the spiritual journey, the path of awakening, is the process of realizing you are not the mud and beginning the careful, patient work of removing these layers. Every spiritual practice you have learned is a tool for this sacred excavation. That first feeling of divine discontent, the echo of a forgotten promise we spoke of, was the first tap on the hard outer shell. It was the golden statue stirring within, letting you know that the casing had become too small. The practice of meditation and becoming the silent witness to your thoughts is the most powerful solvent. It is like pouring a steady stream of pure, clear water over the statue. As you watch your thoughts come and go without identifying with them, the water of your awareness begins to soften the caked-on mud of your conditioning. You create a space between the observer, the statue, and the observed, the layers of thought. The mud begins to dissolve and wash away, not because you fought it, but because you bathed it in the light of your presence. The alchemical work of healing your trauma is the act of taking up a fine hammer and chisel. You are not attacking yourself. You are a master restorer, carefully tapping away at the hardened cement of your old wounds. Every time you allow yourself to feel a stored emotion, every time you meet a painful memory with compassion, you are chipping away another piece of that protective yet imprisoning armor. The practice of questioning your core beliefs, the deep-seated assumptions you hold about yourself and the world, is like taking a scraper to the thick plaster of social conditioning. You ask, is it really true that my worth depends on my productivity? Who taught me that? Is it really true that I am not creative? Where did I first learn to believe that? With each honest question, you scrape away another layer of illusion that was applied to you from the outside, and the courage to be disliked, to act from your own authentic truth, is the final and most glorious act of revelation. Every time you choose your soul's guidance over the tribe's approval, you are allowing a piece of the brilliant golden surface to shine through for all to see. This process of remembering does not usually happen in one single dramatic unveiling. It is a gradual excavation, punctuated by moments of breathtaking recognition. You will have glimpses of the gold. You might experience it during an act of creation, when you are so lost in the flow of painting, writing, or making music that your sense of a separate, striving I completely disappears. In that moment, you are not a person doing something. You are creation itself, flowing effortlessly. You are the golden statue. You might experience it in a moment of profound and inexplicable peace that descends upon you while you are doing something as simple as washing the dishes. This feeling of deep okayness, of causeless joy, is the native language of your soul, the natural resonance of the gold, experienced through a temporary crack in the outer layers. You will experience it in moments of pure, selfless compassion, when you look at another person, even a difficult one, and see past their own layers of mud and plaster to the golden statue within them. You can only do this when you are looking from the gold within yourself. Do not strive to be a perfect, polished statue with no history. That is the ego's goal, once again, disguised in spiritual language. The aim is not to erase the past, but to integrate it. The very cracks in the plaster where you have done your healing work are the places from which your light now shines most brightly. Your unique history gives your statue its character, its story, its priceless patina. The work is simply to know that you are gold, to anchor yourself in this deep, unshakable remembrance of your own intrinsic worth and divinity. Some days you will feel muddy. You will get splashed by the world, and old layers will feel sticky again. It does not matter. The gold is untouched. The gold is indestructible. Your work is not to improve yourself, but to unlearn who you are not. Release yourself from the exhausting, lifelong burden of trying to become worthy. The search is over. You are not a project to be fixed. You are a masterpiece to be uncovered. And as you commit to this sacred act of remembering, you will notice the universe begin to support you in new and magical ways. It will leave you clues and confirmations, arranging encounters and events that seem too perfect to be mere chance. You are entering the grand and playful symphony of synchronicities. As you commit to this sacred journey of remembering, as you patiently wash away the mud of conditioning and chip away the cement of past traumas, you begin to reveal the luminous, golden nature of who you have always been. And a strange and wonderful thing begins to happen. The world around you, which once seemed random, chaotic, or even hostile, starts to change its tune. You begin to notice little sparks of magic in the mundane. You think of a friend you haven't spoken to in a decade, and that afternoon, they send you a message out of the blue. You are struggling with a specific life question, and the book you randomly pull from a shelf falls open to a page that speaks directly to your heart. You overhear a conversation between strangers on a bus, and they say the one sentence you desperately needed to hear. The rational mind, the guardian of the old separate reality, will rush in to dismiss these moments. It will label them mere coincidence, confirmation bias, or a trick of statistics. But your soul, the golden being you are remembering, feels something else. It feels a thrill, a flutter of recognition, a sense of being seen and guided. It feels like a wink from the universe. You are not going crazy. You are just starting to pay attention. You are entering the grand and playful symphony of synchronicities. Synchronicity is not just a coincidence. A coincidence is two events happening in proximity with no apparent connection. A synchronicity is the experience of two or more events, which are not causally related, that are connected by a profound and undeniable sense of meaning. It is the meaning, felt deep in your bones, that transforms a random event into a sacred message. These meaningful coincidences are the language of the universe in flow. They are the tangible evidence that you are moving into a state of harmony with the great, underlying intelligence of life. In our earlier explorations, we learned that the universe responds to you like a mirror. The challenges and difficulties it reflects are often loving feedback, showing you where your energy is out of alignment. Synchronicity is the other side of that same coin. It is the universe's feedback of encouragement. It is the mirror reflecting back to you the first glimmers of your own emerging, authentic light. It is the universe's way of saying, yes, keep moving in that direction. You are aligning with your true path. Imagine that the universe is a single, magnificent symphony orchestra. Every being, every atom, every event is a musician playing their part in an infinitely complex and beautiful composition. For most of your life, living from the ego, lost in the layers of mud and plaster, your personal instrument has been out of tune. You have been playing jarring, dissonant notes. Your timing has been off. You have been trying to play your own frantic solo without listening to the rest of the orchestra. From this perspective, life feels like a chaotic and stressful cacophony. You feel separate, alone, and at odds with the music happening around you. The work of remembering yourself, of healing your wounds, of finding your inner silence, of living your truth is the process of lovingly retuning your instrument. You are tightening the strings of your integrity, cleaning the resin of old grief from your bow, and relearning your own unique and beautiful melody. And then, one day, as you practice, you play a clear, authentic note from the core of your being. And in that exact moment, the entire string section of the universal orchestra swells to play the exact same note in perfect, resonant harmony with you. A flock of birds suddenly swoops past your window. The lyrics of the song on the radio seem to answer the question in your heart. The right person appears with the right resource at the exact right time. From the ego's old perspective of separation, this feels like a miracle, an impossible accident. But from the soul's perspective of unity, it is the most natural thing in the world. It is the simple, elegant physics of a resonant, harmonious system. You have found your note, and the symphony, which has always been playing, joyfully harmonizes with you. The synchronicities are not rewards for good behavior. They are the natural sound of your own alignment. So how do you cultivate this experience? How do you become a more conscious participant in this cosmic symphony? The first and most important step is simply to pay attention. These moments are happening more often than you think, but you miss them because your attention is lost in the mental chatter of past and future. Cultivate a state of open, relaxed curiosity as you move through your day. Expect to be surprised. Expect to be delighted. Your attention is like a light, and what you shine it upon, you will see more of. The second step is to let go of the need for rigid control. Synchronicities rarely happen when you are trying to force a specific outcome. They are shy creatures that appear in the spaces between your plans. They thrive in an atmosphere of trust, flow, and playfulness. The more you can surrender your ego's tight grip on how things must be, the more room you create for the universe's unexpected and often far more brilliant solutions to emerge. Think of it as following a trail of energetic breadcrumbs left for you by your own higher self. When a synchronicity appears, don't just dismiss it. Get curious. Follow the trail. If you keep hearing about a certain country, research it. If a specific animal keeps appearing in your life, look up its symbolic meaning. If you feel a strange, illogical pull to walk down a different street on your way home, follow that impulse. This is how you engage in the dance. You are showing the universe that you are listening, that you are paying attention, and that you are willing to play. It can be incredibly helpful to keep a synchronicity journal. When one of these meaningful moments occurs, write it down. This practice does two things. It trains your mind to recognize these events more readily, and over time, as you look back through your journal, you will begin to see the larger patterns, the overarching themes and messages the universe is trying to communicate to you. You do not live in a dead, mechanical world of random chance. You live in a living, breathing, intelligent cosmos that is constantly speaking to you, guiding you, and cheering you on. Synchronicity is its most playful and intimate language. It is the universe's applause for your courage. It is the wink from your soul, letting you know that you are on track. These events are the tangible proof that when you do the inner work of aligning with your true self, the outer world must, by law, rearrange itself to match your new vibration. This symphony, this dance of meaningful coincidence, begins to reveal that your life is not just a series of disconnected events, but a coherent and beautiful story with a deep, underlying plot. You begin to see that you are both the main character and the author of this magnificent story. A story where you are no longer the victim of your reality, but its conscious creator. You are standing in the heart of a living, intelligent symphony, a universe that speaks to you in the magical language of synchronicity. You have begun to follow the trail of energetic breadcrumbs, and it has led you here, to the threshold of your own ultimate power. The journey you have taken from feeling lost, through the alchemy of your wounds, to the remembrance of your true self, has been a preparation for this final, profound shift in consciousness. It is the moment you graduate from being a student of reality to becoming its co-creator. It is the moment you must choose, consciously and deliberately, which of two fundamental stances you will take toward your life from this day forward. Will you continue to live as the victim, the one to whom things happen, or will you claim your divine birthright and begin to live as the creator, the one from whom all things flow? Let us first look honestly at the victim consciousness, for it is the default setting of the human ego and the dream state in which most of humanity resides. The language of the victim is the language of blame, complaint, and powerlessness. From this stance, life is a series of external events that happen to you. The government, the economy, your boss, your partner, your childhood, your genetics. These are the powerful forces that dictate the course of your life. You are a small, helpless boat tossed on the vast, indifferent ocean of circumstance. This stance offers a strange and seductive comfort, the comfort of irresponsibility. If your unhappiness is always someone else's fault, you are absolved from the difficult and rigorous work of changing yourself. You can remain in the familiar misery of your stories, perpetually justified in your anger and your sorrow. The price you pay for this comfort, however, is your power. You have given it away. You are a pawn on the chessboard of life, forever reacting, never commanding. This is the consciousness your soul is lovingly urging you to transcend. To step into the creator consciousness is to embrace a radical and empowering premise. Consciousness is the one and only reality. The entire world that you perceive as solid and external is, in fact, a projection of your own inner state. It is a shadow cast by the light and images held within your own magnificent consciousness. The circumstances of your life are not the cause of your state of being, they are the result of it. This means that the primary creative force in the universe is not action, but imagination. Your imagination is not a frivolous faculty for idle daydreaming. It is the divine workshop, the sacred womb, where realities are conceived before they are born into the physical world. What you vividly imagine, and most importantly, what you feel as true in your inner world, your deeper mind accepts as a command and works tirelessly to objectify in the world around you. The great mystical teachers understood this creative process perfectly. It is not complex, but it requires a discipline of attention and feeling. First, you must dare to define what you truly desire to experience. This is not about the ego's frantic wanting of things to patch its insecurities, but about your soul's desire for a fuller, richer, more loving expression of life. Once your desire is clear, the creative act begins. You enter your inner workshop, your imagination, and you construct a short, simple scene, a single moment in time which would imply that your desire has already been gloriously fulfilled. You do not imagine the process of how it happened, that is, the universe's domain. You imagine a scene from after it has been accomplished. If you desire healing, you do not imagine the healing process. You imagine a friend exclaiming, "I can't believe how wonderful you look," while you feel the vibrant health in your own body. If you desire a loving partner, you do not imagine the search. You imagine the simple, profound comfort of their hand in yours, or the feeling of their wedding ring on your finger. Constructing the scene is the blueprint, but the electricity that brings the blueprint to life is feeling. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the key that unlocks everything. You do not try to manifest a feeling of joy. You assume the state of joy that would be yours if your desire were already a fact. You wrap yourself in the feeling as if it were a royal robe. How would you feel right now if you were already the healthy, loved, and abundant person you wish to be? You would feel relief. You would feel gratitude. You would feel secure. You generate this feeling state within your own body, in the present moment. You are not pretending. You are accessing a state of consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. You then persist in this assumption. You fall asleep at night drenched in the feeling that it is done. When you awaken, you carry this quiet, confident knowing with you throughout your day. When the external world, the shadow world, presents you with evidence to the contrary, you do not fight it. You simply, peacefully, return your attention to your inner truth. You are no longer trying to change the world outside. You are changing the world from within, which is the only place it can truly be changed. Imagine your life is a dream. For most of your existence, you have been an ordinary dreamer, a character caught within the narrative. You are chased by monsters, you fall from great heights, you feel terror and joy, all while being completely unaware that you are the one creating the entire spectacle. You believe you are a victim of the dream. The spiritual awakening is the moment of lucid dreaming. You are still in the dream. The world still looks the same, but you have a sudden, electrifying realization. I am dreaming this. In that single moment of lucidity, your entire relationship with the dream is transformed. The fear vanishes. The monsters lose their power, for you know they are projections of your own mind. You realize you can influence the dream. You can decide to fly. You can change a scary landscape into a beautiful one. You can face the other dream characters with love instead of fear, knowing they are all aspects of you. This is the shift from victim to creator. It is the realization that the world out there is a projection of the consciousness in here. The world is your dream, and you are the dreamer. Standing in this new awareness, what kind of dream will you choose to create from this moment forward? You are not a victim of a world you did not create. You are the creator of a world you have not, until now, taken responsibility for. This is the ultimate empowerment. It is also the ultimate responsibility. There is no one to blame and no one to rescue you. Your joy, your peace, and your experience of life are in your own hands, or more accurately, in your own consciousness. Take up your divine birthright. Stop pleading with the mirror to change. Turn your attention to the face you are presenting to it. Lovingly and deliberately choose the thoughts, the feelings, and the imaginative scenes that align with the highest and most beautiful vision you hold for yourself and for the world. As you begin to consciously live from this place of creative power, embodying the feelings of love, wholeness, and peace, you will notice that your heart, once a guarded fortress, begins to transform. The alchemy you have performed on your wounds now yields its most precious gold, the radiant, healing power of a fully opened and healed heart. You are standing now in the truth of your own creative power. You have begun to shift your consciousness from that of the passive victim to whom life happens, to that of the lucid dreamer, the conscious creator from whom life flows. As you practice living from this empowered state, as you deliberately choose to inhabit the feelings of love, wholeness, and gratitude in your inner world, the final and most beautiful stage of your alchemy begins. The energy that you once used to build walls, to fight battles, and to run from your own shadow is now redirected. It flows inward and downward, into the very core of your being, to the place where your deepest feelings reside. It flows into your heart. For years, your heart may have been a guarded fortress, a sensitive place you learned to protect at all costs. But now, the alchemy you performed on your wounds yields its most precious and transformative gold. The fortress walls dissolve, the drawbridge lowers for good, and what emerges is the radiant, healing power of a fully opened and healed heart. Let us first honor the reasons the fortress was built. No one chooses to have a closed heart. A closed heart is not a sign of a character flaw. It is the scar tissue of a warrior. It is a logical and intelligent response to the pain of living in a world of perceived separation. When you were hurt, when your trust was betrayed, when your love was rejected, when you experienced profound loss, your psyche did what it had to do to survive. It began to build walls around the sensitive core of your being. The ego became the fortress's architect and commander. It posted vigilant sentries to patrol the perimeter, watching for any sign of a potential threat. It raised the drawbridge of emotional availability and dug a deep moat of cynicism and intellectual defense. This fortress was designed with one purpose: to prevent you from ever feeling that kind of devastating pain again. And for a time, it worked. The fortress kept you safe, but safety came at a terrible price. In its frantic effort to keep pain out, the fortress also kept love out. It kept joy out. It kept true, intimate connection out. Life inside the fortress was predictable and controlled, but it was a life lived in monochrome. It was lonely. It was a life of exile from the vibrant, unpredictable, messy, and beautiful territory of your own heart. The healing of the heart is not a violent demolition of these walls. You cannot blast your way into vulnerability. It is a gentle thawing, a slow, patient melting that happens from the inside out. The warmth that melts the ice is the compassionate, non-judgmental presence you have learned to cultivate. As you turned inward to face your wounds, as you sat with your feelings without judgment, you were generating an inner warmth. You were telling the terrified sentries at the gate, "I am not here to attack you. I am here to listen." As you allowed yourself to finally feel the frozen grief and rage stored in your body, it was like a warm river beginning to flow through the icy moat. As you found it within yourself to understand and release those who had hurt you, you were voluntarily lowering the drawbridge, signaling to the universe that the war was over. This thawing process can be intense. As the frozen parts of your heart melt, you will re-experience the pain that was trapped within the ice. But this time is different. You are not a helpless child anymore. You are the loving, conscious adult presence, the alchemist who can hold that pain, feel it fully, and let its energy finally move through you and be released for good. As this process unfolds, The fortress of the guarded heart gives way to the open field of the healed heart. And from this open field, a new quality begins to emanate from your being. It is a radiance. It is a light, a warmth, a palpable energy that is felt by others, even if they cannot name it. This radiance is composed of several divine qualities, the pure gold of your transformation. The first and most fundamental quality is unconditional love. This is not the transactional, conditional love of the ego, which says, "I will love you if you meet my needs." This is the love of the soul, which radiates outward simply because its own nature is love. A healed heart does not need a reason to love. Like the sun, it does not shine only on the deserving flowers. It shines its light on everything, simply because shining is what it does. It is a state of being, not an emotion to be bartered. The second quality is profound empathy. The guarded heart may feel sympathy, a detached feeling of pity for another's suffering. The healed heart feels empathy, the capacity to feel with another without becoming lost in their pain. Your own healed wounds have become resonant chambers within you. When you encounter someone else who is experiencing betrayal, your own healed scar of betrayal vibrates with a quiet, compassionate understanding. You know the territory. You can sit with them in their darkness without fear, offering them the silent, powerful comfort of someone who has been there and found their way through. Your pain, once alchemized, becomes your unique qualification for healing others. The third quality is fearless vulnerability. The ego believes vulnerability is weakness. The healed heart knows it is the highest form of strength. It is the courage to be open, to be authentic, to be seen as you are, without armor or pretense. This fearlessness does not come from a naive belief that you will never be hurt again. It comes from the deep, embodied knowing that even if you are hurt, you now have the alchemical tools to transform that pain into wisdom. It comes from the realization that your core, your golden statue self, is indestructible. You can afford to be open because you are no longer fragile. Your heart is no longer a brittle, frozen thing that can be shattered. It is a resilient, flowing, and dynamic field of energy. This leads to the fourth quality, boundless compassion. A healed heart extends compassion not just to the obviously suffering, but to everyone, including those who act out of their own unhealed pain. You look at a person who is arrogant, cruel, or judgmental, and you no longer see a monster. You see a terrified soul inside a heavily armored fortress. You see a golden statue caked in mud. You can see their pain beneath their behavior. And while you may not condone their actions, you cannot find it within you to hate them. You can only feel a deep, sorrowful compassion, a wish for them to also find their way home to their own heart. This compassion extends, most importantly, to yourself. The voice of the inner critic is replaced by a voice of unwavering kindness. Finally, the radiant heart is a source of inherent joy. This is not the fleeting, circumstantial happiness of the ego. It is not the high of a new achievement or a new possession. It is a quiet, steady, bubbling wellspring of joy that arises from within for no external reason. It is the simple joy of being. It is the pleasure of a deep breath, the beauty of a passing cloud, the profound peace of connection to all life. It is the natural state of a soul that is no longer at war with itself or the world. This radiance is not a passive, personal state of bliss. It is an active, powerful, and transformative force in the world. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with seams of gold. The artist doesn't try to hide the cracks, they illuminate them. The piece becomes more beautiful, more valuable, and more unique for having been broken. Your healed heart is such a vessel. The golden seams where you have mended your own wounds are where the light of your soul now shines through most brightly. This light creates a field of energy around you. People will feel calmer in your presence. They will feel safe to be more authentic themselves. Your quiet presence can de-escalate conflict, soothe anxiety, and silently give others permission to begin their own journey of healing. You do not need to preach or teach. your very being becomes the lesson. Your radiance becomes your service. This is the ultimate purpose of your alchemy. It was never just about you. It was about turning your personal lead into a universal gold, a healing balm for a world that is aching for the authentic light of a healed human heart. This radiance, this embodied love, is the signature of a soul that has bravely completed its curriculum. It is the state of being that allows you to participate joyfully in the final, beautiful truth of existence. That this life is not a problem to be solved or a test to be passed, but an infinite game to be played with love and wonder. You have arrived, not at a final destination, but at a new and beautiful plateau of being. You have journeyed inward through the shadowed valleys of your own wounds and up the steep cliffs of your deepest fears. You have performed the sacred alchemy of turning your lead into gold, and you now stand in the radiant, gentle light of your own healed heart. You are the conscious creator of your reality, a lucid dreamer aware of your power to shape the dream. A deep and abiding peace is your new foundation. And yet, the ego, in its persistent way, may ask one final question. Is this it? Is the work now finished? Have I finally won? The ego thinks in terms of finish lines, of final victories, of endings. It seeks a state of static perfection where the struggle is over for good. But the soul knows a deeper, more joyful, and far more expansive truth. The purpose of this great journey was not to win a final battle and end the game. It was to become a masterful player, ready to participate consciously and joyfully in the game that never ends. To grasp this ultimate freedom, you must understand the difference between two kinds of games, finite and infinite. Almost all of our human endeavors are structured as finite games. A finite game is played for the purpose of winning. It has a known beginning and an end, a clear set of rules that all players agree on, and a defined outcome that means the game is over. A game of chess, a football match, a corporate quarter, a political election, these are all finite games. There are winners and losers, and the conclusion of the game is the goal. We have been conditioned to apply this finite mindset to our entire existence. We try to win at life. We compete for success, for status, for love. We see life as a single, high-stakes, finite game against failure, against time, and ultimately, against death. From the ego's perspective, death is the ultimate loss, the moment the game is over, and you have either won or lost based on the scorecard of your accomplishments. This perspective is the source of our deepest existential anxiety. But there is another way to play. An infinite game, as the philosopher James P. Carse described, is played not for the purpose of winning, but for the purpose of continuing the play. In an infinite game, there is no finish line. The rules may be fluid, and the players can change them as they go. The goal is not to defeat the other players, but to play with them in such a way that the game can continue, growing more rich, complex, and interesting. The joy of an infinite game is found not in its outcome, but in the process of the game itself. The universe, the great unfolding of consciousness, is not a finite game. It is the ultimate infinite game, and your soul is an infinite player. This lifetime, this precious, beautiful, challenging human experience is not the entire game. It is one round. It is one chapter in an infinite story. It is one adventure on a single planet within a universe of endless possibilities. Your soul, the infinite player, chose this specific game with your body, your family, your challenges not to win it and be done, but to experience it, to learn from it, and to expand its own consciousness through it. The goal was never to achieve a static state of perfection and then have it all end. The goal was to become a more wise, more loving, more compassionate, and more masterful player, so that you could bring those expanded qualities to the next, even more magnificent round of the game. This understanding completely transforms the meaning of death. From the perspective of the finite game, death is the ultimate failure. From the perspective of the infinite game, death is simply the conclusion of one chapter. It is the moment the player gracefully sets down the controller for this particular game, taking with them all the experience, all the wisdom, and all the love they have cultivated. The player, your eternal, indestructible consciousness, does not cease to exist. It simply moves on, ready and excited to pick up the controller for a new game, perhaps in a different dimension, with new rules and new possibilities for growth and expression. The fear of death, which is the ego's greatest terror, is replaced by a sense of profound and peaceful curiosity. It is not an end, but a transition. It is a graduation, not a termination. Imagine you have spent this entire lifetime climbing a great and formidable mountain. The path has been arduous. You have navigated treacherous terrain. You have weathered fierce storms, and you have faced moments where you thought you could not take another step, but you persevered. You did the work. And now you have reached the summit. You are standing here in the clear, radiant light, with the peace of your healed heart and the wisdom of your journey. The view is breathtaking. You have made it. But now, as you turn and look out from this magnificent peak, what do you see? You do not see a void. You do not see a finish line. You see, stretching out before you as far as the eye can see, a vast and glorious mountain range. There are thousands of other peaks, each one unique, each one shimmering with a light of its own, inviting you onward. There are new landscapes to explore, new challenges to meet, new and even more beautiful vistas to discover. The feeling that rises within you is not one of exhaustion, not, oh no, more climbing. It is a feeling of profound, heart-expanding awe and joyful anticipation. You realize that the mountain you just climbed was not a final exam. It was your training ground. The struggles you endured were not punishments. They were the exercises that built your spiritual muscle. The wisdom you gained has prepared you for these even grander adventures to come. This is the perspective of your soul. It is an infinite explorer, an eternal adventurer, forever in love with the journey of becoming. Release, therefore, the pressure to get everything perfect in this one lifetime. You cannot get it wrong, and you can never be finished. Play the game of this human life with all of your heart. Love fiercely and without reservation. Create beauty for the sheer joy of it. Feel everything deeply, for that is the gift of this sensory world. Make mistakes and learn from them with grace and self-compassion. Forgive quickly, laugh often. Your purpose is not to reach a destination. Your purpose is to walk the path, to climb the mountain, to play the game, with as much presence, love, and wonder as you can muster. You are an infinite player in a beautiful, endless game of light and love. The journey never, ever ends. It only and always transforms. And so, as we stand together on this mountain peak, looking out at the endless journey ahead, let us distill the wisdom of this climb into a final, simple truth you can carry with you always. And so, we bring our attention back from the infinite mountain range, back from the cosmic perspective, and gently back into this present moment, back to the simple, sacred reality of your own being, sitting here, breathing. The great journey we have taken together through these words has not been about learning new information. It has been an act of remembering a truth that has always resided in the quietest chamber of your heart. If you are to take only one thing with you from this shared space, let it be this. Your life is not a chaotic, meaningless series of accidents. It is a sacred text. It is a story written in a language that predates words. It is written in the ink of joy and the ink of sorrow. Its grammar is the law of love, and its punctuation is the punctuation of loss, forcing you to pause and take a breath. Its chapters are your relationships, its paragraphs, your challenges, its sentences, your choices. You, the eternal soul, are the author of this magnificent book. Before the first page was written, you chose the themes, the setting, and the central characters who would help you tell your story. And now, you, the human being, are its sole and sacred reader. experiencing the story unfold page by page, moment by moment. You do not know how the next chapter will read, and that is part of the beauty of the design. The whole purpose of reading the book of your life is to feel its plot, to love its characters, and ultimately, to remember the infinite wisdom of the author. When the noise of the world returns, when the mind begins to spin its old stories of fear and doubt, hold on to this simple truth. When you feel lost, repeat it to yourself as a mantra, an anchor in the storm. Let it be the first thought upon waking, and the last before sleep. Breathe it in, and let it settle into your very bones. I am on the path my soul chose. This phrase dissolves all victimhood. It affirms that your life, with all its unique twists and turns, has a deep and unwavering purpose. I trust the process. This phrase dissolves all resistance. It is an act of profound surrender to the intelligence of the universe and the wisdom of your own journey, releasing the exhausting need to control every outcome. I am exactly where I need to be. This phrase dissolves all anxiety about the past and future. It grounds you in the radical acceptance of this present moment, the only place where peace can ever be found. Take a deep breath in now, and as you exhale, let go of all the searching, all the striving, all the struggle. You have arrived, not at an end, but at the true beginning. The beginning of a life lived from a place of deep trust, inner peace, and quiet, unshakable power. The journey from here is not about becoming someone new. It is about simply, beautifully, and courageously being the magnificent being you have always been. Return to the stillness within you whenever you feel lost. It is your true home. Be at peace.